Blog.com.
Yes! Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, the 11th of June. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We stream this and every show on the station at foxsportsfm.com. And you could be watching and listening live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, David. How about yourself?
You know what? I slept a little bit last night.
Well, that is fantastic. How was that? I don't do that much.
It's been a while. Surgery was 3 weeks ago today, and have not slept for 3 weeks, really, more than about 3 hours at a clip. So it was nice to get a little bit of rest last night. That, to me, that's an indication that things are moving along.
Hopefully it'll be a streak, not a trend.
Right. Just looking
all
for
we're
two in a
hoping
row
for.
tonight. Exactly. If we can make it two in a row, we have a feeling as if maybe this could be quite the long hitting streak. That is for sure. 479-5551 is how you can chime into the show via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line 479-5551.
We are an hour and 47 minutes away from the first group teeing off at Colonial this morning. I'm pretty excited.
So they're teeing off at 6:50 a.m. Central?
Correct.
Wow. That's right. Guys showing up at the range here pretty soon.
Oh, they're there. In the locker having a burrito, maybe.
But yes, between NASCAR last night and a little PGA Tour golf today, how much of the Golf Channel will you watch today?
I don't know if it'll come off. Like, I think I'll put it on. I'm about to put it on here. I'll stick it out till 7:03, 02. Top of the 7 o'clock hour, I will watch a touch of, if I'll lean over and watch the closed captioning for Your World in 90 seconds there. But right after that, we'll go to the Golf Channel. We'll be there all day.
Gotcha. You'll go from morning drive right into the coverage. Most of the Golf Channel team is in Orlando, broadcasting off monitors from what they're able to see that's going on in Fort Worth. Apparently, Nance and a couple of on-course reporters are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and every other announcer is on location. I don't know if you get the sense from me, but I'm finding this not absurd, but I'm not agreeing with it.
Oh, there's no doubt, David, as someone who has been, how shall I frame this properly? Forced into quarantine many weeks ago.
Yes.
Forced.
Yes.
No choice. If you wanted any sanity in your life, you were going to adhere to what your wife deemed necessary in your house. And I'm not giving her a hard time. That's marriage. No. That's called marriage right there. This one is all on board. I could either be a blankety blank or just go along with it and keep my life sane. You went with option B. That's why you've been married for 24 years, David.
Exactly. It was 13 weeks ago today that the world began shutting down as we know it. And, oh, by the way, 13 weeks from today is when the NFL season kicks off. How about that?
So hopefully we can be a little more open in 13 weeks. So you've, first, before any of the health problems you had, you were on lockdown a little bit before everybody else.
Yes.
And since the surgery, Ruth has emerged from your house from Ozark. She is running the entire house with a shotgun if anyone tries to come up the driveway.
Right. Just going from room to room cursing.
Yes.
Yes. That's where my wife is right about now. She's had it.
Right. And you're seeing your profession, our profession, but you're still involved in it. I do a talk show. I don't do play-by-play anymore. But this is something that is our passion. Doing games is what we love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can see where you're a little troubled because there's certainly a chance that the entire industry is changing before our eyes right now.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, let's face it, every business is looking to get leaner. Every business is looking to save money. And you could argue in a summer and a fall in which we're probably going to be watching a lot of sports. So it's not like they're just trying to, get the stuff on the air to oblige their contractual, needs.
Right. This isn't a MEAC first round. This isn't a MEAC first round tournament game here.
No.
That they're just saving a little bit of money. Yeah, I know you'd rather be there, but there's 10 people watching. Sit in the studio. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not sending you to Albany.
And so, the dichotomy, and we talked about it briefly yesterday, of it's going to be fascinating in Orlando. Like, there's apparently a bit of grumbling going on between the NBA players and the NBA right now. And the grumbling is not them restarting. The grumbling is the fact that the players are going to be so isolated, and they're going to be isolated from their families. Now, there's a part of me that's like, hey, suck it up a little bit. It's far from ideal, but I don't know what to tell you. All right. One, you've just had some serious family time for a few months. That's number one. And number two, hey, once every 100 years, we've got something like this that has happened. If you got to get through it, you got to get through it. But there are some in the NBA that, quite frankly, don't want to play. And then they're apparently saying that behind the scenes. And the NBA is apparently, amending their policy in which it's like, listen, if you don't want to play, you don't have to play. All right, now you're not going to get paid. But if you don't want to play, you don't have to play. But I just think about it. They're going to be in Orlando, isolated. Broadcasters not on site. I mean, none of the local broadcasters either.
No. And David, furthermore, listen to the Bleacher Report NBA guy, and I'm sorry, his name escapes me, but I was listening to Dan Patrick yesterday, and he was on, and Dan asked him at the end of the interview about everything. So you going to Orlando? And he says, not maybe for the finals. And this is a guy who covers the game. I mean, this is,
right.
Bleacher Report's become kind of a big deal. He's their lead NBA guy. And he's like, well, first off, I'm not going for the play-in or whatever they're calling that. He says, absolutely no access, worthless to go. And I'm still wondering and not hearing a lot about access. So he said maybe for the final. And that's it. Because the media is going, why show up to Orlando? I can't interview anybody. It's going to be, he talked about the people who are going to have the really difficult job. The same thing Seth said yesterday about baseball. It's the NBA PR guys. They're going to be working their tails off because these meetings are going to be forced on teleconference Zoom type platforms.
Right. And they're going to have to type everything out so that everybody can get the quotes and all that sort of deal. But, we have talked about this, and I know that most of you don't care, or at least you think you don't care. But if you want propaganda, and listen, we already have that on both sides in politics. All right. But if this is what you want in sports, I mean, we have talked about this where teams have been slowly, and particularly in college, controlling the narrative, limiting access, using their own sites to get news out and do it in their way, in which it is most positive to them. If this is how you want your sports covered, and my guess is most of you do not, it's partly why you love sports so much. You love to, it's like making the Thanksgiving turkey. You love to get both your hands in your favorite team and in your favorite sports. And you want to know all the nooks and crannies. You want more information, not less. And this, I mean, think about that. The Bleacher Report NBA guy is like, maybe I'll show up for the NBA Finals. Well, what is to prevent news organizations from this point forward of basically saying, cover the league from home with your laptop? I mean, the quotes can all be made available. You don't ever have to interview anybody face to face.
And those at the top running newspapers and television stations, which are not making money the way they used to, and at one point weren't responsible for making a lot of money, but now are a bottom line business. The people at the top don't care if the coverage is that much better.
No, not at all. Not at all.
How much money are we saving?
A ton. A ton. Now, you get very little insight, and you get nothing with any depth to it. And I don't know how much quality you're going to get in your coverage either. But, okay. And it is a little surprising to me. I think it is a little bit, it's being very cautious. I'll stop there. I feel as if we're a step away from an overreaction, though. I do, especially how weird it's going to seem in Orlando. When 2 weeks before the NBA resumes their season, the Disney theme parks are going to be open for business. You mean to tell me that Eric Reed and the Heat broadcast team can't broadcast the Heat games?
David,
there's thousands of people within 3 miles of you.
David, as back to your Thanksgiving analogy earlier, I mean, this is basically like serving a rotisserie chicken with some instant mashed potatoes on the side. I mean, that's what you're giving us right now.
Right.
Not, we don't. I want the turkey. I want the potatoes. I want the sweet potatoes. I want a casserole. I want the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like I'm having to stop at a truck stop for Christmas or Thanksgiving. Now, I will say, my wife and I out in Fargo, we ate at a truck stop on Christmas Eve, and she did look at me kind of like, yeah, this can't happen again. I mean, I love you, but only so much. We can't do this again. No, we got to plan this out a little bit better. So, that's what I feel that this is. You're getting truck stop Christmas Eve dinner.
Well,
from your NBA coverage going forward and in some of the other sports.
And David, the fact of the matter is, as you mentioned off the start of this, we are going to be consuming sports with an appetite like you had at that buffet you talked about years ago. I mean, we are there with plates, we are there with multiple utensils, and we are ready to consume. Did you see the tweets by NFL players about the NASCAR race last night?
Right.
No, one's bored.
No
one needs to watch some sports.
No, everything's just fine. We're holding up.
It's all okay.
Fine.
We've been protesting for 15 days straight. We have a pandemic and no one can watch any sports. No, we're good.
Yep. We're fine.
Right. The bowling guys are going to be tweeting about golf later today. That's how nuts things are. But here's the point, David, and I'm just being a little silly there. But the point is, David, we are going to have sports on and watching it in ways I don't think we've ever consumed it in this sheer amount. And from a broadcast standpoint, we're given a substandard product.
Well, and that will be interesting. If you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's a part of me that hopes that the broadcast quality is noticeably lacking. And that people at home are kind of like, wow, this is pretty average. This isn't as good as it normally is. Because, Mark, you do know what happens. I mean, if Eric Reed and the Heat broadcast crew can do these games from their studios in Miami or from the arena, wherever it is that they're going to set up and do these games from, and they sound just fine, well, their bosses are going to be like, well, why do we have to send them on the road? I mean, think about it. Going forward, they could just send Jason Jackson, their on-court reporter. He could be the one that travels with the team. He could be the one that pregame, halftime, in between quarters, postgame, he could be the one getting interviews. They could keep the play-by-play and color guys home. Oh, what do you guys need to be on site for?
All I've got in my head is Bull Durham right now with Susan Sarandon writing down what happened on the play and then making the bat sounds.
Right. Yep.
The cart.
Double off the wall.
The cart for the
Yep, exactly.
Sound effects.
Recreating it for MASH. Right. in which they screwed up. Okay, they had the crowd going, and then all of a sudden there was the sound of the bat, and it was kind of like, wait, can't have a foul ball after a hit, right? So now I'm sure I'm making more of this, but it is something like, for example, has anybody noticed or cared watching NASCAR? Those guys are not at the track. They're in Charlotte. They're doing those races off of monitors. Anybody notice a difference?
David, dumb question. How much are they doing off of monitors anyhow in that sport? I don't, it's not my bag. So I'm asking you a legit
you're doing
question.
A lot, especially on the far parts of the track. I mean, you are. I mean, once they're not in front of you, I mean, those tracks are, especially the bigger tracks, I mean, the cars are so far away. You're right. The announcers are doing it off of the monitors.
So that golf will be interesting. Seems like that would be an easy sport to do off of a monitor. Very easy.
Well, and you can argue golf is essentially done off a monitor. Like, for example, the broadcast that I'm a part of, they set up usually in and around the 18th hole. Well, do you know how much actual golf we see?
Very little.
Yes.
Very little important golf as well.
Right. Like, for example, when the U.S. Open was at Pebble Beach, Fox's, tower, if you will, was to the right. If anyone's ever been to Pebble, you know where the tee box is. Okay, we'll go about 70, 80 yards down to the right.
Of 18?
Of 18.
Okay.
So
you're not even to the tree. You're kind of...
Oh, no.
You're kind of making a triangle between the tee, the tree, and where your booth is almost.
Correct. And now it's a gorgeous view of Carmel Bay. Gorgeous. And the whole, the 18th is right there behind you. But the tee shots are going 200, 250 yards past us. Now, can we see where they land? Can we see if, Joe and Paul Azinger could turn around and watch a second shot into 18 and see it pretty well, but that's it. I mean, that's it. We can't see the tee box from where the position is, and we can basically see second shots into 18. Well, Joe Buck calls 10 holes. He calls the first hole, and then Joe has the even holes. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. I mean, Joe's got 10 holes. Shane Bacon's got the other 8. Well, they're all broadcasting off a monitor.
The only point of having the Azingers there is conditions, seeing how the course lays out, because those guys can walk the course with how the wind is and get a pretty good gauge as to how things are going to go. They're smart enough to go, okay, wind's going this way. It's going to make these shots more difficult because they've all played there countless times.
Yes.
But for Joe Buck, he could be doing that in L.A. or wherever just as easily.
There's no question about it. I mean, from where, they position. Now, sometimes the tower's right behind the 18th green. So, okay, you see approach shots in, and sometimes 18, maybe you could see a few other shots elsewhere, mostly tee shots, maybe the 9th green, but that's being generous. I mean, if you think about it, when Nance calls the Masters, I mean, he's in a little tower behind 18. He can see approach shots into 18 and putts on 18. Everything else he's calling off a monitor.
Yeah, but their booths there are really good spots. All I'm going to say is that those broadcasters can call action from every one of their booth locations. They love themselves some media in Augusta.
And they treat them really, really well. Funny. And they get really good coverage.
Yes.
Funny how that works.
Absolutely.
Mark, what did you always do with the local media?
Kissed their ass.
When you were running things for the Blades there, weren't we always fed?
2 meals a year. Well, first off, you were fed twice on things that were not games. An opening presser lunch, a meet the team where prime rib was served. No better way to take care of people who don't make money for a living than to feed them good food. Food before every game. If any media member wanted a ticket when I was in charge of that, they got one. I don't care if we were sold out or not. If we were sold, hey, I can only get you 4 standing room, but you're in the building. Okay. And it was pretty easy when I needed an interview to call someone up and say, I need to get so-and-so on today. We're struggling with tickets. Can you help me out? Sure. What time do you want to bring them by?
Exactly.
Except for Moulton.
That works.
Except for Moulton.
Right.
We'd yell at each other occasionally.
We would.
Because David didn't put me in the lead.
Right.
He buried me behind a high school football game, and I just would scream at him.
Right. High school football Friday, I didn't lead with the Blades.
Yeah.
All right. But then I started. Actually, what I started doing was when they tossed it to me, I would run Blades highlights and then go into the break and say, all your high school football is next. So I would get the Blades out of the way right away. I'd get you your 2 highlights, your 20 seconds, you 1-3-2. All right. And I literally in my head would be like, Miller, I hope you saw this, you blankety blank.
I did.
All right. Sitting up there at the breakaway, having your beer, wondering where Moulton and Severson and Simon were going to put the Blades.
I'd walk back to my office at 11:15 so I could sit there and watch all the sports. That's the God's honest truth, David. I don't know what to tell you. Doing my job. I cared. I was nuts, but I cared.
A little bit. That's why you were good at it. Miller and Moulton. 23 minutes past the hour. The starting 5 is next. We had some big news yesterday.
No kidding. MLB draft. Can't wait to hear what happened.
Hey, much to my shock, I don't want to say no sports is going on, but ESPN decided to air this sucker. They're going to air it again today. Wow. There must be nothing going on. Usually it struggles to get on MLB Network, for goodness sakes. So, yeah, that's one of the things we'll talk about. But it was a big day in NASCAR, on and off the track.
Wow.
We will explain coming up. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for waking up with us. Hope your week's going okay. Ours is here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Calling your quarantine.
And we move now to the couch where this match is set to take place. The first spoonful of ice cream shoveled in, maybe a little too fast. We could
Cannot fill the void of baseball.
And after making quick work of the dishes, she turns to, oh, wait.
We'll get back to the ballpark.
The cat was settled by her feet.
Eventually.
Look out below. She's going down.
A message of hope from Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Marketplace is sponsored by Kronos, helping businesses attract, retain, and engage employees through cloud-based human capital management. Kronos.com. Kronos, workforce innovation that works.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R.
Hey,
Martineau
Dan.
Roofing of Southwest Florida. We're still finding a lot of roofs with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for a free inspection. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida? Nah, it's illegal here, man. But I have PTSD. Should I at least try to get medical marijuana?
That's legal. But if I were you, I'd talk to my doctor about qualifying conditions and to find out if medical marijuana is even right for you.
Thanks. I'll talk to my doctor.
Listen to the Dan Patrick Show at work.
Never boring, that's for sure.
Streaming 24/7 at foxsportsfm.com.
We are Fox Sports.
We've got our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples, on the phone. We're talking about their huge selection and great pricing on Core-Tex flooring. Tim, tell us what's new at the store.
Right now we have 90 colors of Core-Tex in stock, ready to go, pick up, put down as soon as you want it. Everything from starting at $299 on up with lifetime warranty.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tex that you have. You also have other Core-Tex products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tex Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tex, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tex wood, look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online,
floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
Hey, this is Adam Botana from Baywater Exclusive Boat Club, the only family-owned and operated boat club in Southwest Florida. And you know, one of the best ways to social distance is to be on a boat. At Baywater, we have a contractual 10-to-1 member-to-boat ratio.
Lots of folks out protesting in front of Oak Seat to Table last night on Immokalee and Livingston.
I saw the pictures of people walking down airport pulling.
Yeah, it's not airport, it's Livingston and Immokalee.
And this weekend we're holding an open house and running special pricing. So stop by and see the Baywater difference. Call me, Adam Botana, at 239-495-0455.
I think he's got a contract with the Lee County School District
and the Collier County School District, and they are both looking into breaking it.
Of course they are,
and they will.
Yes, they will.
What people need to find out also is that they also sell all of the vegetables, believe it or not, to Publix for their sandwiches. Like all the sliced tomatoes and stuff, all that's done by Oaks and sent to them.
That's right. Below invoice.
I know that for a fact because I know Eric Oaks, Elfie's brother. Used to be at the track all the time. I actually like Eric.
Loaded, luxurious Grand Cherokee Limited lease. 0 down.
I don't know Elfie.
$269 per month.
Elfie's.
That's right. Jeep Grand
Wow.
Cherokee Limited. 0 down. $269 per month. Plus at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
He'll survive in Naples because, well, Naples.
Interest-free for 6 years and worry-free up to 100,000 miles. Our parts service and body shop are open to serve you.
The thing I feel badly about is he employs a lot of people, though.
Right.
1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US.
A lot of people, David.
Yeah.
That's a big, it's a lot bigger operation than people understand.
Yep.
How many restaurants they supply.
Yep.
42 monthly sum, 10,000 miles per year, 0 to 8 plus tax, title, dock, and dealer fee, 0 security deposit, $13.88 per month, 1,000 borrowed for 72 months, 0 APR with 0 down.
Yeah, if you read his post, Homer, you'd understand.
Miller and Moulton. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"28 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming foxsportsfm.com, broadcasting live once again on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. You can chime into the show, first off, through our YouTube and Twitch TV channels, always. But you can also do so via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line, 479-5551, 479-5551. If you miss any part of the show, well, we podcast every single hour, and we do so under the Connecticut umbrella. Connecticut making our Connecticut cast possible. Feel free to download the show if you miss any part of it. Got a good show lined up for you today. Antoine Staley to join us from Charlotte. Coming up in about an hour's time, Bill Bender of the Sporting News to talk about all the things going on in the college sports landscape. And Bob Pockrass. Big day in NASCAR yesterday, on and off the track. And Bob to talk to us about it coming up a couple hours from now. We've got a doozy of a poll question coming at you in just a few minutes. A doozy. Probably our best ever.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
I don't know how to properly put it up, though. That's what I was seeking advice last night and got no help again.
Well, I mean, first off, if you're asking me for technology.
No. I was not asking you last night. I was asking John, and I got nothing because I don't know how to properly do this with pictures, and I think it's hard to do without pictures. That's all.
Well, I agree. So we're trying. All right. We have a great poll question. Great. Best ever. Set up. We just need to be able to include a picture in with the poll question.
That's it.
Either that or we're going to have to somehow attach it and make it like a two-tweet poll question.
That's what I'm afraid has to happen.
Right. So, but the picture has to get out there. It is essential to the poll question, and it is spectacular in many ways. And so that is our poll question.
In several others.
Right. And the picture is actually illegal in like 4 states, but that's a whole other story. 29 minutes before the hour. Time now for
the starting 5.
5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton Starting 5.
Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
I did not know this. Last night was the first ever night race at Martinsville? That just seems hard to believe. But apparently it was. First time ever under the lights. Joey Logano led half the race, finished fourth. Martin Truex Jr. ended up being your winner. Ryan Blaney second. Brad Keselowski third. Bubba Wallace, meanwhile, finished 11th in his Black Lives Matter car. But Bubba had a big day yesterday. A big day. Because Bubba Wallace earlier in the week said, we need to be done with the Confederate flag. And yesterday, NASCAR agreed. Mid to late afternoon, official release out of their headquarters in Daytona Beach that the Confederate flag will be banned from all future NASCAR races.
This will be fascinating, to say the least, because if they were racing at Talladega with a full-on crowd here in a couple of weeks, how are they going to get them out of the infield? And
they can do it. They can do it. And Ryan McGee made a very good point on Twitter in which he said, listen, when NASCAR wants to, and there was a big crackdown a few years back on knockoff merchandise, and NASCAR went after it, and they got a hold of it. And they literally went through the infield. I mean, they went camper by camper. And Ryan McGee said, trust me, if NASCAR wants to, they can do this. And I know what you're talking about, 150,000 people and a full infield and the whole deal. And, if he was pretty confident, and he's been involved with the sport a long time, that if NASCAR wants to be vigilant about this, they can do it. So
impressive if they can. That was my biggest wonderment of it. Not really, will they?
Here's my question. Let's just say there's somebody listening right now in which this bothers you. Is it bother you enough that you're going to stop watching NASCAR? Like, did you not watch last night's race? Did you go, oh, that's it, I'm done? No, you've gone too far. I mean, that is ultimately the question here. Even if they rankle some of their base who, is into that sort of thing, they're going to rankle them enough that they no longer watch? Or will they maybe just not have quite as much enjoyment? Or is it more of a, those that took it with them when they went to the race? Now, Mark, to me, what I'm going to find interesting, I think it's very easy to crack down on Confederate flags flying at the races.
What about Confederate flag clothing?
There we go. All right. Now what do? You make somebody change. Well, what if they don't have anything else? I mean, they may be like, hey, if you want, you can come into my camper and I could show you, all my shirts. I got 4 of them. They're exactly the same. And then they just put that wry smile on their face, kind of like, yeah, I knew what I was doing. So that to me will be interesting. Are you going to be banned from a race if you are wearing Confederate garb?
Probably. And that will be a lot tougher because wear 2 T-shirts. I mean, there's a lot of ways to pull that off, if you know what I mean.
Well, right. And and you could have the T-shirt underneath, and then you can get to the race. You could take it off. I mean, the whole deal. But NASCAR yesterday going to a point in which, quite frankly, a lot of people in the sport never thought they would go.
Nope.
And they
what I found interesting yesterday is after it happened was on Twitter a little bit and just seeing comments. And I don't remember who it was that covers NASCAR, but in Dale Jr. and Dale Sr., some of the memoirs that were written of him, that he had that bumper sticker on his regular vehicle many years ago. what is it, Southern by the Grace of God or whatever it was with the rebel flag on it. And they had someone that was their housekeeper. She was African American. And she told Dale Sr., that bothers me. That offends a lot of black people. And listened to her, walked out to his car with a knife, made a slice where the Confederate flag was, took that part of the bumper sticker off. Junior spoke out against the Confederate flag. So all of these people who are so convinced that it's part of NASCAR, I don't know. If Dale Sr. wasn't into it, then that's good enough for me.
Mark, you asked about the Major League Baseball draft, and I know you did so tongue-in-cheek, but your Detroit Tigers made a little history yesterday. First off, they had the first overall pick of the draft. They took Arizona State first baseman Spencer Torkelson. Doesn't he sound like a fullback or a linebacker?
Yes.
And the tackle's made by Torkelson. Spencer Torkelson, he is the first ever college first baseman to go first overall. He's also the first right-hand hitting first baseman to ever go first overall. That includes high school kids. So Spencer Torkelson and the Tigers making a little history yesterday. First 7 picks in the draft were all college kids. 8 of the top 10 were college kids. That's a bit unusual. In fact, that hadn't happened in a long time. Marlins had the 3rd overall pick. They took University of Minnesota right-hander Max Meyer, who reportedly throws around 100 miles an hour. The Rays had the 24th pick of the first round. They took a high school right-hander, Nick Bitsko, from a Pennsylvania high school just outside of Philadelphia.
You know who was the, Adam Schefter, Mel Kiper, Adrian Wojnarowski of last night's draft, don't you? You know who broke the story of the draft, of who the first pick was overall? Guy Fieri. Apparently, he's buddies with Spencer's family.
Right.
And shortly before the draft, tweeted out, yeah, he's going first overall. This is done. Congrats to my buddy Spencer. Keep an eye on this guy. He's going to go big. That was kind of one of the fun things about last night's baseball draft from a Twitter standpoint.
Well, he was projected to go number 1, but Fieri, I guess, actually reporting it as fact.
Yeah.
First.
I just thought that was funny that,
agree.
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives has got the skinny on the first overall pick.
Antoine Staley is going to join us coming up in less than an hour because of the news out of Charlotte yesterday, in which the Carolina Panthers took down the Jerry Richardson statue in front of, I believe it's Bank of America Stadium. Or at least it used to be. Then again, if you go a year without being in a stadium, you could be 2 sponsors behind.
Right.
But Jerry Richardson is the gentleman responsible for Carolina having an NFL team. And there's a statue of Jerry in front of the stadium, him standing in between 2 Panthers. And they took it down. The Panthers say they took it down as a precaution because there had been some stuff out there on the internet that maybe some people were going to come after the statue, the way they've gone after some Confederate statues in the last week and a half around the country. It is unclear if this move is permanent. But
look at, he doesn't own the team anymore. I'm going to leave this just under what I would do as the owner. I'm the new owner. He's the old owner. This is the equivalent of a second marriage and leaving a picture up of the first spouse in the house.
No, come on.
Oh,
now.
yeah. Get him out. I bought this from him. He's gone. This is like Jeter taking out that thing in center field. Just be rid of it.
Well, first off, that thing in center field was hideous. All right, hideous. All right.
Show me a good statue in front of a building. Sports statue.
So there were reports that when David Tepper bought the Panthers from Jerry Richardson a couple years ago that there was a bit of a handshake deal as to what was going to happen to the statue, because Richardson ended up selling the Panthers because, well, he had said and done a few things that were a little racially and sexually offensive.
And by a little, we mean kind of a lot.
And so,
you know, Jean Day, but make sure you wear your tight jeans and come see me 4 times in the office. Creepy old guy scary and pretty much old guy racist.
And so there was a lot of people reporting that there was a bit of a deal made about the statue, that Richardson still wanted the statue to remain. And it's always nice when you're getting $2.5 billion for something, if you can also say, kind of like David Sampson, you know, we made this deal to buy the Marlins, we need the bus. The deal doesn't happen without the bus. You know, well, apparently Jerry Richardson, legend has it, you know, was adamant about the statue. But there was some thought that there was a time frame, 1.5 years, 2 years, that sort of deal. Well, now it's been 2 years. But the Jerry Richardson statue moved. The Panthers say it was to preserve it, yet when asked if this is permanent, would not answer the question.
I would have moved it right to Richardson's family's home and dropped it off on the front porch and said, here you go, store it.
College football news. What was widely reported at this time yesterday was made official. Reggie Bush, welcome back. Also, O.J. Mayo, welcome back into the USC fold. He's actually the highest drafted USC basketball player ever. But Reggie Bush back in the fold after his 10-year ban from the NCAA had come and gone. But you could argue, Mark, that the biggest college sports news yesterday was out of Austin, Texas. 2 Texas players tested positive for the coronavirus. Now, granted, they're young, and in theory, 14 days, clear, well, back to practice, the whole deal. But if we are going to hit the pause button on sports returning in America, these are the stories that are going to make it happen. People, athletes, testing positive for the coronavirus. We know they have plans in place for a few. What happens if it gets more than that? And at 44 minutes past 6 o'clock, that mark is
the starting 5. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton starting 5.
Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Miller and Moulton. We'll have yesterday's poll results, and then we'll have today's poll question. Even if we have to send it out in 2 parts, it is the best one we've ever had.
You know what's great about this, everybody? Is maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But there is one guy that will have zero to do with getting the pictures and the tweet up that he is demanding get done that I asked for help on as early as 7 o'clock last night and got none. So I got to get to work during the break to figure out if I can do this poll question.
If anybody knows how to be able to send a tweet out with a photo,
well, with several photos,
chime in. Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line 479-5551, 479-5551, or chime in on the YouTube and Twitch TV chat rooms. Help Mark out. But we are releasing at some point today the greatest poll question in the history of Miller and Moulton. And I have nothing to do with any of it, except a couple of suggestions, actually, for answers. That's it. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. 15 minutes before 7 o'clock here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
In the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds, Jordan had 8 points, 2 steals, 1 rebound. The 1 steal and 2 of those points won the championship. The steal against Malone and then the jumper over Russell that won it for him. That's when you want great players to be great. Mike was taking the shot. Get out of the way.
Dan Patrick. The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Cathedral Roofing Innovations. Now, Hurricane Irma was a long time ago, but believe it or not, problems with tile roofs, they continue to occur as a result. Now, many homeowners are just now feeling the effects of the hidden damage that occurred to their tile roof. Now, whether it's new leaks, cracked, unsecured tiles, these roofs are living on borrowed time. Now, tile roofs, by nature of their design, are susceptible to lift and powerful storms like hurricanes. When this occurs, your tile underlayment can be compromised, but you would not realize it until possibly years later. Now, with Cathedral Roofing Innovations, you get a great roofing company to inspect your roof for any damage, and just because you don't have leaks doesn't mean you don't have issues. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com. They are the
there you go, Arch.
Experts in Naples.
There you go.
Start the inspection process right away. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com.
How about that? You're in charge.
Cathedralroofingnaples.com.
License number CCC 1331928.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years. We operate with integrity, knowledge, and service. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
103.3 downtown Fort Myers.
We are Fox.
People often ask me, how did you grow my shower door so big and so fast? But the answer is, we didn't. What we did is we took our family business, we hired great talent, trained our staff, and developed our product. Now, after 17 years, my shower door has 8 frameless shower door showrooms, with our newest in Cape Coral. If you're looking for a frameless shower door company that you can trust and research, and you want to see more, go to myshowerdor.com.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida?
Nah, it's illegal here. 20 grams or less is a misdemeanor, and more than 20 grams is a felony.
Well, I have epilepsy. Should I try to get a medical marijuana prescription?
Now that's legal, but talk to your doctor first to see if it's a qualifying condition and if medical marijuana is even right for you.
I will, thanks.
Hey, this is Anna Montana from Baywater Exclusive Boat Club, the only family-owned and operated boat club in Southwest Florida. And you know one of the best ways to social distance is to be on a boat. At Baywater, we have a contractual 10-to-1 member-to-boat ratio. That gives you unlimited access to over 40 of our boats. Whether you're fishing or just cruising, Baywater has you covered. And folks, the water is great. It's the best water we've had in Southwest Florida in a couple decades. Want to keep the boat overnight? At Baywater, anything is possible. And this weekend, we're holding an open house and running special pricing. So stop by and see the Baywater difference. Call me, Adam Botana, at 239-495-0455. That's 495-0455. Again, 495-0455. Or find us online at BW Boat Club or just Google BW Boat Club. Baywater Exclusive Boat Club, the exclusive club of Southwest Florida.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Ten minutes before 7 o'clock. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. And we know Southwest Florida is Gulf Shore strong. And as businesses continue to reopen and try to get back to normal, we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 479-5577. That's 479-5577. Tell us your name and location of your business. And, well, you're back. And we're rooting for you. No one's rooting harder for Southwest Florida than the good folks here at Fox Sports Radio. And record a little message, and we'll give you a little free pub, and just trying to help out in any way that we can. 479-5577. Record your message. We are Gulf Shore strong. Antoine Staley coming up in 40 minutes time from Charlotte about the Jerry Richardson statue being moved, and is it permanent? Bill Bender at 8 o'clock to talk about all the goings-on in college sports, on and off the court and field, etc. And Bob Pockras at 8:30 to talk about a big day in NASCAR on and off the track as NASCAR bans the Confederate flag from all of its races from this point forward.
Did you catch the truck owner who says they're out?
No.
Let me grab this here because I saw the tweet this morning. And basically one of the truck owners has bailed because of the incidents that have happened in the last 24 hours. Which,
what do you mean by incidents?
The banning of the flag. He's done. He flat out says, that's it. And Ray Cicernelli is his name. Tweeted out yesterday, well, it's been a fun ride and a dream come true, but if this is the direction NASCAR is heading, we will not participate after the 2020 season is over. I don't believe in kneeling during the anthem nor taking people's right to fly whatever flag they love. I could care less about the Confederate flag, but there are people who do it, and it doesn't make them a racist. All you are doing is effing one group to cater to another, and I ain't spend the money. We are all to participate in any political BS. So everything is for sale. Now, it's signed Sarah Cicerelli, which obviously I'm guessing is his wife, but it is on Ray's Twitter page.
Okay.
And John Haverland, who covers NASCAR, retweeted this yesterday. I caught it this morning as I was getting ready for the show. And just found it fascinating that a driver is going to sell his team because they're not allowing the Confederate flag.
And he claims it's a matter of principle, all right, that he doesn't have any, emotional investment in the Confederate flag, but it's the principle of it. Pitting people against people is his claim. Okay. All right. I grew up in New Jersey. So the whole Confederate flag thing has always struck me a little odd, quite frankly, because the way that I was raised and the history lessons that I got in class, I didn't look at the Confederacy as heroes. I looked at them as traitors, quite frankly. Like, you guys tried to break away from us.
Correct.
That's
seceding from the Union is just that.
Right. So whenever I've, run across, I've got some friends who are big, Southern Pride guys and all that. And I've always looked at them and go, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I grew up thinking you guys are nuts. They just don't see it that way at all. I saw that what took place 150 years ago is treasonous.
It was taught very differently in schools in the South, David.
Yes.
Taught very differently.
Right.
They omit that slavery was really a part of it in the South. That's not why. It was a states' rights thing. Just ask anybody that grew up in the South.
Right. But like I said, I grew up in New Jersey.
No, I'm just...
I looked at the first few people I ran across in my life who were making that argument like, are you nuts? That's not how it was. So, I've never, quote unquote, I've never gotten it to begin with.
Oh, understood. But we were taught about the Civil War very differently. My son went to school in North Carolina. I'm not making this up. These are facts. And then you have to unteach what's been taught to people that's not correct.
Well, we certainly don't think it is. And they obviously think it is. It did strike me 20 years ago moving to Florida. It did strike me getting to the corner of I-75 and I-4 and seeing that big Confederate flag.
Right. You enter the South when you're going north. You leave the South when you pass that.
Yes, absolutely. That's where I believe Florida, it either begins or ends, depending on your point of view, right at that corner. Right there. Like, I believe that's where South Georgia ends. All right. And that Florida is immediately as you go south of that flagpole.
There is no doubt. And I remember being in the Keys after my son had lived in Carolinas for a while, and we were at a restaurant in Marathon, and he's, y'all have sweet tea? And she just looked at him and she said, honey, you're south of I-4. I mean,
well played, young lady.
That's, so you're south of I-4. That is an accurate statement.
But so that's, I'd asked the question during the starting five. All right. Is this a deal breaker for you? You're a NASCAR fan. And yesterday you said, you know what, I'm done. Or is it disappointing, but you're still watching? Did you not watch last night? And you're like, this bothers me. Now, the two of us don't get it at all. Don't get it. But then again, we were raised in New Jersey and Michigan. And we were taught, our history, the way U.S. history was taught to us, a little different take on what went on in the 1860s.
Right, but see, I'm a weirdo that I actually, when Sheldon did Flag Time on The Big Bang Theory, I like flags. I'm like, that's a cool looking flag, but then when you read what it's about, okay, I can't associate with that. It doesn't seem that difficult. But I'm proud of NASCAR yesterday. About time.
I mean, Mark, just if you think about it, you and I refer to it as the Civil War, all right? And there are many in the South who refer to it as the War of Northern Aggression.
Well, that's because they were taught incorrectly. Winners write the rules, David. That's how we do it in America. Miller and Moulton.
Damn right.
Couple of good lines in there, kids.
Dial star 2020. Friends, I care.
Cataract surgery is not so basic anymore, and advancements in technology have paved the way so that patients can design their vision to meet their individual lifestyle needs. Dr. Jonathan France and his team of caring professionals bring you this state-of-the-art technology through the light-adjustable lens. So what's the wow? Your prescription adjustments can be customized after cataract surgery through a series of non-invasive light treatments. The light-adjustable lens is made of a special photosensitive material. It changes the power of an implanted lens in response to UV light. A lens designed for the unique individual nature of your eyes. Call France Eye Care today. Find out if you qualify and see your future in 2020. Dial star 2020 from your cell or call 239-418-0999.
Friends, I care.
What time is it? There are times when we do this.
It is a crazy, crazy day. Crazy.
There are other times when we do this.
I would never be doing something to make me look stupid. I mean, on purpose.
And then there are times when we do this.
Can we all agree now? Yes! No. It's not possible. No.
When these times go down, you know you'll find it here on Fox Sports Radio.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information. Or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 105.9 Fox Sports Radio. We are Fox Sports. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com.
Only can do 4 pitchers?
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
I'm really upset that my daughter will not read one fish, two fish, red fish, all right, blue fish it's on up. Twitch because I needed
Really?
content. That's what we've come to.
Took 3
tweets to get it up.
Well, we need to explain to her the pilot program, and we need 25 hours of programming a week. So you need to deliver your 12 minutes a day, 5 times a week, because that's an hour, honey.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Couple minutes past 7 o'clock on this Thursday morning, the 11th of June. It was 13 weeks ago today that the sports world and to a large degree America began shutting down. And it is 13 weeks from today that the National Football League is scheduled to kick off with the Houston Texans in Kansas City against the Chiefs. Think about what has taken place over the last 3 months and realize that we are 3 months away from kickoff of the NFL season. So the magic numbers, Mark, are 79 and 91 for the kickoffs of the college and pro football seasons. That seems doable, doesn't it?
It does.
79 and 91, we're in double digits.
My only question, David, is am I going to get a refund, a 75% refund, or 0 refund for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers season tickets?
Well, every day that goes by, once again, I keep going back to by mid-July, all of the theme parks in this state will be open.
But not to play Seth Everett's role, the coronavirus cases have gone up in Florida at a rate that is, I don't think is alarming. I think it's concerning because I think we're actually doing more testing. We're doing testing in a lot of different areas that the numbers are going to go up. But we're one of at least 7 states that's having the same situation go on.
Yes, no question about it. And it'll be interesting, New York and New Jersey, flattened their curve. They took a lot longer to do it, but now they're reopening and we're all going to pay attention and see what it is that happens there. Now, remember, not to go off on a coronavirus tangent here, but the whole concept behind it was flattening the curve, getting it low so that we could open up. There would be a rise in cases again, naturally, and we would have the hospital beds and the infrastructure to be able to handle opening up.
It had never been about curing it.
Right.
It was about
not before
flattening
vaccine.
it.
Right.
And the narrative has definitely changed throughout this. But I don't bring up the coronavirus to play the Seth Everett game on the show today. I just bring it up because I do think it's something that's relevant to the sports world, particularly while Florida is as open for business as any state in the union.
The MLS, the NBA, the WNBA, and the UFC already opened up, all in Florida. But the MLS at the end of this month is going, and that's something that we haven't talked about, and that's my bad. It should have been in the starting 5. I love what the MLS is doing, by the way. I love their tournament.
I am right with you, and this was the part of the day that I wanted to tell Max Kellerman he was kind of right. Because, David, the NHL is blowing a golden opportunity here. The MLS was about to lock its players out
a week ago.
Tuesday of last week was going to be the day that they were going to lock them out. There was a stay of execution on the lockout, and by Wednesday they had completed their deal with their players' union. They did that 8 days ago. They are playing later this month.
Correct.
NHL, what in the hell are you thinking? I would have had this sucker started. I mean, there's no reason to wait till late July. Get them in, get it started, be first. I think this is a huge win for MLS because we can tell off of just and look, I am not one of the media people. I hate even calling myself media, but the fact of the matter is I've worked in it for 20 years. At some point, I'm going to have to admit it. The media is largely on Twitter. Most of you are not. I get it. But when you watch Twitter and you see the athletes commenting on a NASCAR race last night and having a ball watching it, and go back to Charles Barkley talking about the NHL playoffs and how much more he thought it was exciting, far more than the NBA finals. They had a window to have the sports world. What they've always wanted, what they've always asked for is eyeballs. But instead, they're going to go right back head-to-head with the NBA. And by the way, by the time they get going, baseball's going to be playing. Rob Manfred said yesterday, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to have a season. And there seems to be enough clauses in their deal that they think they can play Grand Poobah and put them on the field. Right. So now we're going to have baseball, soccer, NBA, golf, NASCAR, and, oh, yeah, the National Hockey League.
With football right around the corner.
What an opportunity missed, David.
I agree. I also think it's been an opportunity missed for the NBA and for Major League Baseball.
But
I mean, let's face it, we were patient as a society till about June. Now we're starting to get a little itchy, a little edgy. And if you are able to put a good product on television right now, we are foaming at the mouth for it. Now, granted, it's a pandemic here. We got health issues, and I understand. But, we still don't have a date for hockey. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, we have a date for the NBA. It's July 31st. I mean, we don't have a date for hockey, do we?
No, we have camp. We know they're going to open here soon. We got a date that they're going back to camps, but we haven't really seen a schedule, a season, a location for that matter.
Right.
They're still working. They're still working out logistics.
Right.
While everybody else seems to have a lot of the logistical information done, David.
I got to think Vegas is one of the places.
It is. Go. It is.
Especially since everyone else chose Florida over Vegas. So if you're the NHL, you get to have it for yourself. 479-5551, 479-5551. I've been billing it throughout the whole first hour of the show. If you're just joining us, the greatest poll question in the history of Miller and Moulton has been unveiled on Twitter at that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, and millerandmoulton.com in the last 20 minutes.
Took 3 tweets to get the poll question out because I had to retweet it twice with the picture so everybody can see who the hell it is we're talking about. If you can't picture them in your mind.
But Mark Miller has not gotten a haircut throughout all this. And Mark has also decided here, and I don't know when the last time you shaved was. Now, I know that you trimmed the beard into what it is that you have now. But what Mark has now is straight out of 1970s, 1980s sports world.
Yeah, Heckle Hyde asked in the Twitch chat room, what is the name of Mark's 70s cop show?
That's a dadgum good point. All right, it's a dadgum
Could
good
be
point.
The Stash and Skinny D.
That's true. The show was renamed Miller and Skinny D last week. From Miller and Biggie D. So, but Mark has what could be described as anywhere from glorious to a fungus on his face, depending on your point of view. And for the record, his wife is much closer to fungus than she is glorious.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
She hates every bit of it.
Yes.
She didn't mind the beard. The beard doesn't bother her. She says it makes me look old, but it doesn't bother her. She said it should bother her. She looks at me. It should bother you, but it doesn't bother me.
I agree.
I
said the same thing.
I don't know if she'd walk down the street with me.
We had a lot of fun in the last 24 hours just narrowing down the choices to the poll question as to who it is that Mark Miller most resembles in terms of his facial hair right now. And, whether it looks like a handlebar mustache to you, whether it looks like a goatee to you, whatever the case may be. And
so a large caterpillar that's nestled upon my face.
Yes. I'm telling you, a fungus, all right, could have been one of the choices on the poll question. But we decided to go specifics, specific people.
Athletes.
And their glorious stashes throughout their athletic careers. And so who was the four you narrowed it down to, Mark?
Conrad Dobler.
And that's my vote for the record.
James Edwards, one of my favorite off-the-bench Pistons.
I love that. That you went Bad Boys Pistons.
Had to. And it's like you said, it's a little longer, but Buddha and I have a similar facial hair thing going. Goose Gossage, and there were several to choose from. I went with a Padres Gossage.
Okay.
Because the Tigers beat the Padres and Gossage in the 84 series, and that's why I went there. And Al Hrabosky, the Mad Hungarian.
The Mad Hungarian.
One of my favorite all-time pitchers. If you can say as a child of the 70s in a wiffle ball game you didn't go behind the mound at least once and pump the ball into your glove, then actually I think we have problems. Come on, at some point you had to imitate the Mad Hungarian playing baseball.
If you're of a certain age, you're darn right. You're darn right. And we'd all be out there in the playground and what have you, imitating our favorite pitchers, whether or not you would the motions of Tekulve and Gene Garber,
Louis
Quisenberry, you'd go sidearm. Louis
Tiant with the big
the
turn,
180-degree spin and still kept his balance, and then came back and threw the straight change. Yep, absolutely. But to come into the game and go Mad Hungarian on you, which came right after Mark Fidrich.
Right.
First it was Fidrich talking to himself, and then, playing with the dirt on the mound and talking to himself while
talking
he did
to the ball.
Right. And then you had the Mad Hungarian,
who was the polar opposite of the Bird. I mean, the Bird did Sesame Street.
Right.
Al Hrabosky, if he would have done a show, would have been SNL.
Correct.
I mean, they were polar opposites.
Right. He would have been Belushi in a skit in which they got rid of him 3 minutes in.
Right.
Correct. But, boy, that Mad Hungarian act bothered a lot of players. I mean, if Hrabosky blew a save, I mean, that players loved, giving it to Hrabosky because they felt he was showing them up.
Absolutely. This was kind of the first one. If you think about it, we don't have hardly any Latin players in the game because the Latin players play a different style of fun than American players do. They like to bat flip. They like to celebrate home runs. I love the way they play baseball. It's a party. In America, it's very strict, and we have to respect the game.
Unwritten rules, Mark.
Yes.
It violates another one.
You're making the game more about you than it is about us.
Right. And we're not here to entertain anyone.
No.
It's 3.5 hours of drudgery. All right. And maybe it ends with a pie in the face. But for those that don't know, Al Hrabosky would complete his warm-up pitches, and then he would get the ball back from either the catcher or the third baseman if they threw it around the diamond, and he would step off the mound, and he would walk back behind, and he'd play with the rosin bag a little bit, and then he would take his hat off, and he would literally have an animated chat with himself.
Looking at the center field fence the entire time with his back to home plate. And you really, unless they have a center field cam, if they're showing the cam from the booth, you are just seeing a lot of shoulder and head movement. And he just gets himself worked into a flipping frenzy.
Right. He was like a weightlifter getting ready for a big power jerk but he's rubbing the ball. He is working the ball really hard. And then he would take the glove out from under his armpit, and finally he would take the ball and slam it into his glove, and he would turn around abruptly and stomp up to the top of the mound and look at the batter like, okay, now
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
And the crowd, if it was a home crowd, and it was a road crowd, they'd be booing. And then it was like Roboski was ready for the clean and jerk. Okay, let's go.
And I loved him. Loved him, David.
And he was kind of a pudgy lefty. You know, he nicknamed the Mad Hungarian, Al Roboski. And for a couple years, it worked. He was fairly effective.
Pitched in the league for 13 years. But with Kansas City and with St. Louis, had some pretty good years.
Yeah, and I remember him most with the Cardinals.
And it's funny, because he was there far longer. I remember him more as a Royal, only because we didn't get a lot of baseball on TV. And so I remember, I'm a big baseball fan in the late 70s and watching him play against the Tigers on television in the summertime and just loved the guy.
Well, and we saw a lot of Royals in the mid to late 70s.
Correct.
It was them and the Yankees were the two dominant teams in the American League.
But he was third for the Cy Young in 74 with St. Louis. I mean, it's a solid pitcher.
Yeah.
11 years in the league. Or 13 years in the league, rather.
That's a terrific career.
But the Mad Hungarian, Al Roboski, just a caricature of a character, basically, is what he was.
And Mark is at the point in time in which he could never do a better Al Roboski impression than he can do right now because he is trying like hell to look like him. Now, I think he's got a little more Conrad Dobler in him right now.
I'm with you. The problem is Roboski has the good hair. He has your hair with this stash.
Okay. Now, it is just grading the stash.
Oh, I know.
It is just grading the stash. But that is our poll question. Who does Mark most resemble these days? Gossage, Dobler, Roboski, James Edwards. Love that you went bad boy Pistons.
Come on.
That is the most handlebar of the mustaches, is James.
It was tight.
There's a clear
it was tight.
There's a St. Louis arch in his mustache. It's so clear as to the shape of it. I just think that it's not as long as yours right now. I mean, you're trying to grow yours down to your navel. I mean, it's
I got you.
Hand.
I mean, I do love the fact that, I'm trying to think of basketball teams past that have had that many nicknames. Because the Pistons were a team of nicknames. Isaiah was Zeke. Vinnie Johnson was the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
Rodman was then the worm.
Correct.
And James Edwards was James Buddha Edwards.
Lambier had many nicknames,
none
of which we could say.
None.
Right.
But, I mean, you think baseball teams have nicknames. Hockey teams have nicknames, but they're all Millsy. I mean, there's not much to a hockey nickname.
No. I mean, you guys will slap a nickname on somebody in 3 seconds, but they're the most unoriginal nicknames ever.
No lie. There's not one. Like I said, one of my favorite of all time is Darren Colburn that I worked with. He played for the Raleigh Ice Caps, and Darren Colburn became Cheese. I thought that had a little originality because at first Darren Colburn becomes what? Colby. And then,
of course,
because that's what we do. We just take off as many letters to the point where you can add the Y or the SY. As someone says, Spider Sally, too. I mean, that was a basketball team full of nicknames. Probably more to do with their announcer, George Blaha, than anyone else. I mean, that's the key to a good nickname, is a play-by-play guy that'll throw it out there in the midst of
either that or
play-by-play.
a beat writer. I mean, that's where a lot of times the nicknames come from. They actually come from announcers or beat writers. Miller and Moulton. But it's our poll question. Who does Mark best resemble these days? And I don't know when it is that he's going to shave, to be honest with you. I don't know how long this hunger strike's going to go. I mean, is it because you don't feel comfortable going to a hair salon yet? I mean, do you think that the stash, when you get a haircut, the stash goes also?
I'm fine going to a hair salon. I hate getting haircuts. Like, I like nothing about going to the hair salon.
Really?
It is, don't ask me why. Everybody in life has things that they're frugal about or cheap. I think the haircut is the biggest waste of money on the planet.
Huh.
I've got to go spend money. I've got to go spend money so it can grow back, and I got to spend more money for you to do the same thing again. And half the time you don't do it right.
Isn't it the equivalent of washing a car?
Another thing I don't do very often, David.
Well, I don't ever do it. I mean, that's my thing.
Fortunately, when I get my oil changed at Estero Bay, they give me a coupon for a free car wash.
Oh, okay.
So, what,
Otherwise,
twice a year?
Gotcha. I want to talk to your mother, though. See if there was something in your childhood that affected you about haircuts.
No, maybe that's why. My mom, when I was a kid, was a bookkeeper at a hair salon, and I remember her friend coming over to cut my hair, who was this beautiful young lady. No, I got my hair cut on the back porch, the kid by a trained professional.
Okay. All right. So that's our poll question. Make sure you go to Twitter, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Check out the pictures and then vote accordingly. By the way, do we remember the result of yesterday's poll question?
I do remember it, and it was the no's. It was, would a 50-game baseball season with the World Series champion be legit? But it was only like 58, 59% to 41, and I thought it would be a little higher than that. And there were a lot of people, David, that made some really compelling points as to why they would like a 50-game season.
Baseball fans.
No, sports fans. Sports fans that just gave, compelling reasons. That's all. Every game in football matters immensely. This would make every game in baseball matter that much. Just comments like that. Nothing nuts. But there were some people that said some things. I went, okay. I disagree with you, but I like the fact that you made a smart, intelligent point.
Just remember, a 50-game baseball regular season is the equivalent of a 5-game NFL season. 5. Come on now. A 4-game college football season.
Man, would Minnesota be good.
Well, there's no doubt.
Wisconsin be national champ every other year.
Yep. With their non-conference schedule most years, you've got that right. You have got that right. Antoine Staley to join us from Charlotte. The removal of the Jerry Richardson statue and his thoughts about life in the pursuit of happiness next. Today was the day when, in about 25 minutes, here on Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
It's just tough division. Rookies got to start. Brutal schedule. Young head coach. Brutal. And Bengal fans, I'm a hater because I had them at 5-11. Fox Beck has them favored in one game this year. So if it stays true to form, they're 1-15.
Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We know Southwest Florida is Gulf Shore strong, and as businesses continue to reopen and try to get back to normalcy, we want to hear from you. Call us at 479-5577, 479-5577. Tell us the name and location of your business, and let us know that you're back and rooting for Southwest Florida.
Hi, this is Yanni from Total Nutrition. We are back and Gulf Coast stronger than ever.
No one roots harder for Southwest Florida than Fox Sports Radio.
We are Fox Sports! For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. We're still finding a lot of roofs with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for a free inspection. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Attention, Southwest Florida. Are you ready for this?
It's the best pause in commercials today.
$8,000 over Kelly Blue Book value for your trade-in. Hundreds of new SUV models to choose from, all backed by our exclusive unlimited mile lifetime warranty. Pick out your favorite.
Advertising made me switch bourbon for a bottle.
See us on Pine Ridge Road to find out.
So billions? You're not watching, are you?
Market value for your trade-in.
Watching
we'll
what?
give you
Billions.
$8,000 more,
No.
so you can drive that brand new Nissan
So,
home today.
The
If KBB says it's
whatever, the girl
$5,000,
prosecutor, the black girl that
Nissan will
works
give
with
you 13.
what's his face there?
Yeah.
She has a scene with
says
a guy, and
we'll give you
and
18.
she's sexy as hell. And she's sitting there in her dress and
must act fast.
pours a glass of
Naples
bullet
Nissan
bourbon. And I was at
for full details.
Costco, and the bullet was next to the Woodford. You know what? I'm going to do a bottle of bullet for you.
Catch the show
How was it?
anytime. Check out Miller and
I like Woodford better, but it was good.
Daily podcasts.
Cathedral Roofing Innovations. Now,
About a minute out here.
Hurricane Irma was a long time ago, but believe it or not, well, problems with tile roofs, they continue to occur as a result. Now, many homeowners are just now feeling the effects of the hidden damage that occurred to their tile roof. Now, whether it's new leaks, cracked, unsecured tiles, these roofs are living on borrowed time. Now, tile roofs, by nature of their design, are susceptible to lift in powerful storms like hurricanes. When this occurs, your tile underlayment can be compromised, but
Hello.
Antoine, good morning.
possibly years
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Very well. Mark Miller here with David Moulton. Thanks for giving us the time this morning, my friend. How are you? Everything good?
I'm all right. Yeah, everything's going good.
Don't have issues. Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com.
We've got about, 30 seconds or so, and we'll go on.
And they will start the inspection process right away. Just
About ready to start working again? Not that you haven't been working, but
Yeah, it's about that time. It's about 6 weeks or so, it seems like.
man,
These are stressful times.
that's why I'm calling, because I'm in we have one studio, but David's at his house. I'm at mine, so can't let the producer call anybody the way this is set up now. It's just, hodgepodge studios.
Yeah.
More important to a guy's mood than testosterone. The single greatest issue for guys with low.
And then, unfortunately, you have to listen to these bad ads in your ear that I've heard 6,000 times now, and I just omit.
Many are grumpy when they start, and most can't believe how much their mood improves once they get treated. And everything improves once your mood improves. Feel the difference.
Antoine, you're in Charlotte, right?
In your life. I've been a
Yes,
patient
sir.
at C4MH.com for a couple of years, and recently I've lost 20 pounds because now I have the energy to work out from home. And that'll put you in a good mood, too. C4MH.com's Express Treatment Plan is convenient, affordable, and above all, safe. And with locations all up and down West Florida, there's one near you right now. Find out more. Go to C4MH.com. Here we go!
Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"28 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Bill Bender to join us at the top of the hour to talk some of the goings-on in the college sports world. Bob Pockras will join us an hour from now to talk about a big day on and off the track in NASCAR yesterday. Antoine Staley's kind enough to join us once again. He covers the Carolina Panthers for the Riot Report. Follow Antoine on Twitter at Antoine Staley. Antoine, top of the morning to you. How have you been these last few weeks?
I'm doing great. How you guys been doing?
We have been hanging in there. Antoine joins us from Charlotte. And before we get into some specifics, I just want to throw one in underhanded to start. So what's the last week and a half been like in Charlotte?
I think everywhere it's just been really crazy. Just with everything been going on and riots and with the George Floyd and everything like that. So yeah, I think it's consistently been like that a lot of different places. But yeah, it's definitely been crazy here.
And Antoine, like I said, Antoine covered the Dolphins for a while. He covered the Red Sox, covers Carolina. I wanted to get into you about the Red Sox because Torrey Hunter made his statement about the no trade clause that he wouldn't go to Boston because of the insensitive racial comments said by fans. And when the Red Sox acknowledged that yesterday, I fell out of my chair. What did you do?
Yeah, I was very surprised the Red Sox did that simply because I think a lot of people, especially if you follow the Red Sox, you've known that there's been some racial issues there in Fenway and from time to time. But it seems like the team is kind of deflected or never really acknowledged it. Whether you talk about the Adam Jones situation, about 3 years ago, where I think it was like a banana or something that was said to Adam Jones, and then you had Torrey Hunter come out and say it's been some racial things that's been said to him over the years. But yeah, I think that was a big step for them just to acknowledge it and say, well, you know what, we know these things have happened, and it's time to move on and move forward. And I definitely think it's going to be big for the Red Sox and that whole area. Maybe you'll get different types of fans there in Fenway, because obviously the Red Sox has had a certain perception about their franchise for a really long time, even date back to Tom Yawkey and the whole ordeal with Jackie Robinson. So yeah, we'll see if that changes anything as far as their different types of fans that are coming Fenway.
And I believe the Red Sox were the last American League team to have an African-American player. So they've always had a bit of a checkered history when it comes to race. Do you think that the Red Sox did this to kind of put the onus on their fan base, or do you also think they did this because they're trying to clear up their reputation throughout the sport a little bit, maybe be a little bit more appealing to a few more players down the road?
Well, I think what's going on now, it gives teams and people the opportunity to do the right thing, and you don't have to do the right thing. They didn't have to say this. They didn't have to put out that statement about what all went on. I just think that they thought it was the right thing to do, and I definitely think they did it. Maybe maybe it might have been some pressure on their part as far as fans, but I definitely think it seems like whether it be the statements they released after everything that went on with George Floyd and what's going on around the country until now this, I definitely think they took it as an opportunity for them to kind of clean up their reputation and realize that that's what's been happening there, and Fenway hadn't been necessarily been right, and it's time for stuff to change. And they definitely started that process yesterday with that statement about what Torrey Hunter had to say, and I think it's a great thing.
Well, the Panthers made a statement, kind of, sort of. We removed Jerry Richardson's statue, but that was for safety. I think that it's probably gone forever. Is it?
We don't know yet. Well, I'll say this too. They also removed the Panthers that were surrounding him as well. I will say that as well. They Panthers released the state. Well, before that, we had found out they were taking down the statues, and they we thought, oh well, they're just going to take down the Richardson statue, especially considering what's all going on. But David Tepper, when he took over the team in 2018, he actually said he was contractually obligated to keep the statue up. That was part of the agreement from the transfer from Jerry Richardson to David Tepper. So I don't know if they're gonna put it back up or not. I would think this is probably permanent, but we're not necessarily sure. But just everything that happened with Jerry Richardson and the sexual harassment incident there that allowed, pretty much did him in and allowed David Tepper to take over. And he's a really polarizing figure there in Charlotte. A lot of people really love the fact that he brought the Panthers to Charlotte, but at the same time, is it's kind of that black stain that he left on the franchise at the end. And I think a lot of people want that statue gone, but it's going to be interesting to see do they bring it back or not, because again, David Tepper, once he took it over, he said he was contractually obligated to keep it. And I don't know, the team is saying that said much other than a statement. So we'll see how that goes from there, but I have to think that it's probably going to be a permanent move.
He's Antoine Staley. He covers the Panthers for the Riot Report. Follow Antoine on Twitter at Antoine Staley. How much noise had there been in the last few days about the statue? Because obviously, for us 1,000 miles away, this caught us by surprise. We hadn't heard anything about people maybe wanting to tear down the statue, et cetera. They said they did it as a precaution because the word was out online that people were going to try to vandalize it. Was that, in fact, the case?
Well, I don't know if they were going to vandalize it, but Jerry Richardson has taken some hits the last few days, and especially when Trey Boston, the safety for the Panthers, came out and said that Richardson, when he was a member of the Panthers back in 2016, Richardson didn't allow him and other Panthers players to protest, and he had simply told, well, it wasn't necessarily from him, but it was some other people within the organization, and it trickled down to the players that they thought that players were there to play football and not to protest. And they decided they took that, they didn't take that too kindly, and they kind of rubbed a lot of players the wrong way. And Boston finally admitted it on a podcast with Ian Rappaport this week, and things just kind of trickled from there. And we were supposed to talk to Boston. We did talk to Boston up yesterday, but before that, they decided, well, you know what? With all this going on, especially with the weekend coming up and possible more protests, they thought it would be the best session to go ahead and just take it down now, as opposed to wait in and seeing what might happen. And might be some it might get vandalized along the way. So I definitely commend them for going ahead and do that. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit of rumblings that it could possibly be taken down by some fans or some protesters later on in the weekend.
I mean, Antoine, between what's happened in Clemson, that's only a driver 9-iron away from where you are. The Panthers, NASCAR. Yeah. I mean, Charlotte now has reached almost damn near the epicenter of everything that's going on in a very, politically charged world right now. David started with it, but is it a calm sense around the city? Does everybody? I mean, I know we started there, but when you think about these three things, and I mean, a lot of people in Charlotte are Clemson fans, obviously a lot of NASCAR fans, obviously a lot of Panther fans. I mean, there's a lot coming at the folks of Charlotte right now.
Yeah, NASCAR talk about, they put out a statement saying that they're gonna ban the Confederate flag from races, and I thought that floored me as well. Talk about things that surprised me, because obviously me growing up in the area, I've seen that flag a ton, especially associated with racing. There, a lot of people just who put it as a symbol of the South, but I'm really surprised NASCAR had the intestinal fortitude to want to go ahead and decide, it's time to put that flag at the bag and ban it. So I'm just definitely surprised they put out a statement to do that. And yeah, the Clemson situation has just been weird with Dabo and the assistant, and Dabo finally coming out with a statement. And some people are for him, some people are really didn't like the statement to begin with. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Clemson moving forward, especially with that program. And they've been doing so well the last 5 to 10 years. I'm curious to see if it's going to have any kind of effect in their recruiting going forward.
And speaking of which, Dabo has already announced there's going to be a protest this weekend, and his star quarterback and a few other players are going to be at it. And I think Dabo is going to introduce them, all right, at the protest. So I think they're going to attend it together. So that story continues to play out in Clemson, South Carolina. Antoine, what are you hearing about the Panthers fan policy 3 months from now? What are they thinking?
Well, it's still very fluid. We don't know. We've asked we've asked PR and some of the other people around the Panthers organization. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do for training camp. Obviously, it's going to be in Charlotte this year. They usually have it in Spartanburg, South Carolina, but this year they're going to have it there. So it's going to be no fans for training camp. And as far as the season and preseason, they're not necessarily sure. It's really going to depend on what happens and what they're allowed to do in the state of North Carolina. Right now, they're in phase 2 of opening up the state, which means is they still can't they still haven't been allowed to have fans. Some restaurants are open at 50% capacity. The gyms are still closed. So yeah, they definitely still limited on what they can do. So they're still taking it day by day, and we'll see how it goes by the time July and August comes. But they hadn't really said a whole lot, because I don't think they necessarily know what may happen a month or two from now.
Antoine, you hearing anything about where Cam Newton may sign, or do you think this is going to happen after the season starts?
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to happen. It might be one of those things to drag on to the season, because I definitely think the situation with Cam Newton, this situation really hurts him. But also the fact that nobody knows if he's willing to be a backup quarterback. Also, nobody knows how much salary he's looking for. He might be looking for $20 million as well, which what I was about the amount the Panthers were obligated to pay him if he was still on the roster. And I don't know if there are any starting spots available in the NFL right now. So it's going to be up to him to decide, well, you know what, I'll I'll go ahead and be a backup somewhere for a year and try free agency once again. Or he may decide, you know what, I'll just sit out for a year and maybe try free agency once again, and that it could be an opportunity for him to get healthy. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he can land anywhere. The problem is going to be is, I don't know, they may limit preseason as well. And if they limit it to 2 games and there are not a lot of injuries as far as quarterbacks, that's really going to hurt him as well. I don't know if he's going to have a big market the way that he wants to. So I have no idea what's going to happen with that situation. Everybody keeps saying the Patriots, but it doesn't seem like the Patriots are very interested in signing Cam Newton, at least probably not the number he's looking for.
Antoine, how has the Cam move gone over, quite frankly? I mean, I understand new coach gets the benefit of the doubt and the honeymoon and all that. But, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater as opposed to Cam? I mean, how's this gone over with the fan base?
Not well. Not well at all. I think it's a combination of, obviously, a lot of Cam Newton fans there in the area, and also the way that happened with the Panthers, because the way that the release happened, because I think part of it is how Matt Rule, the new head coach, handled it as well. He ended up saying at the combine that Cam was his guy. He was looking to move forward with Cam Newton as his quarterback. And then his video obviously released that Cam Newton not being happy, thought he was being shopped. And in fact, he was being shopped. And then the Panthers ended up releasing him not too long after free agency begins. So it's kind of a perception that the Panthers kind of did him wrong in that whole manner as well. So yeah, the fans aren't necessarily happy about it. I know a ton of fans that are upset about the direction that the Panthers are going. But when you finish 5-11, and especially with the injury history Cam Newton has had throughout his career, the last few years with the shoulder and last year the foot, you definitely have to move in a different direction. You can't just say, well, he was the MVP back in 2015, because that was such a long time ago. Things changed in the NFL, and I understand why people are upset. They love Cam Newton. He's one of the best Panthers of all time. But at the same time, you have a new coaching staff. You have an owner that's not tied to Cam Newton, and they're trying to win, and they're trying to appease the fan base as well. So I definitely understand why they did it. It's just a matter that how they did it, how they released Cam Newton. I definitely think rubs people the wrong way.
All right, Antoine, a couple of things. One, just for ECU, because my son's going to school there. Secondly, fun to follow on Twitter, because Antoine enlightens me on hip-hop songs that I had no clue about. He gave me an Ice Cube song about 2 weeks ago that I immediately listened to and went, that's great. So finish us today as a hip-hop historian. Go give us something that's, not something that, the 50-year-old white guy would know. Give me a couple that I dig for, and I'm going to get some good music when I download them later today.
Well, I'll give you a couple of names. You can search for Benny the Butcher, West Side Gun. Check out those guys. Any song I think would be great. And Worcester 5'9" is also great as well. So you can't really go wrong with either one of those guys.
There we go. Bringing us Red Sox, NASCAR, Clemson, Panthers, and a little old school hip hop. That's Antoine Staley. Follow him on Twitter. Antoine Staley is where you do it. As always, thank you for your time, my friend. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Antoine Staley covers the Panthers for the Riot Report, and as Mark mentioned, Antoine Staley is where you can follow him on Twitter.
He Kirkchened us. He Kirkchened us.
Did he go Benny the Butcher?
Yes, he did.
Huh. Now I'm intrigued. That's a great name.
How about I forward you a couple songs today?
I'll download myself.
You and the wife can rock out.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll play them loud in the background while she's doing home health. Yeah. Bill Bender of the Sporting News coming up at the top of the hour to talk some of the goings-on in the college sports world. Bob Pockras, 45 minutes from now. Big day in NASCAR yesterday, on and off the track. But coming up next, today was the day when Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
I know that people want to correct me like, no, it's not the flu game, it's food poisoning. Give me the pizza place's name, right? If there was a real thought that the pizza place did this intentionally, trust me, the Jordan henchman would have been out. So either the story is complete crap, or I don't even believe 4 people got to his hotel room floor. Don't believe that happened.
Doug Gottlieb, afternoons at 3 on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
High West Rye?
With my Kobe Cooling tip of the day. Kobe Cooling
Me
is
either.
looking for experienced installers. We're hiring right now for experienced install crews, full-time work with top pay.
There's this Flavorar or FLAVAIR. It's like a whiskey club that's been pressing me on line recently. And apparently, if you join, it's like $180 for 6 months, $300 for a year. And they send you mini bottles once a month or whatever, but you get one bottle. And they basically, for their Father's Day special, are giving a bottle of Whistle Pig.
You can also email me at fredkobe@aol.com. That's FREDKOBIE@AOL.com. Come join the best team in Southwest Florida, Kobe Cooling. Kobe, the most trusted.
You didn't like 1792. I like 1792. I don't think it's bad at all.
Trade in and trade up. Over $500,000 in trade-in assistance up for grabs at Galliana Kia in Fort Myers. 2020 Kia Forte LXS lease. 0 down.
Yeah, you'd be amazed, like at that Park City one, you'd be amazed how many whiskeys out there are not. I'm with you, Hops. I just got to figure out how many you get. But a lot of those small batch whiskeys are basically made in Kentucky and shipped to people, and they're putting a fake name on them. Been a couple of interesting stories I've seen on kind of what the bourbon industry, how it's blown up right now and what's going on.
Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 2.
Yeah, I mean, Hops, but if they're giving me 4 mini bottles, essentially, I'm with you. I just told my wife she should buy it for me for Father's Day. I wasn't going to spend a dime on it. Don't kid yourself. We got a big bourbon group in this. We have a lot of bourbon drinkers, at least in the chat room. If that's indicative of our listening audience, we need to have some, well, I would say Miller and Moulton bourbon tastings, but there's really no sense because David's not going to taste any bourbon.
Shower doors installed. No one has more experience and 5-star reviews than My Shower Door. We've been named #1 by readers of the News Press and Naples News for 17 consecutive years and have just been named as Lee County's Manufacturer of the Year. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdor.com.
Arch, I'm pretty lazy because there's this thing called Costco, and they have this thing called Woodford Reserve, so it's pretty tough for me to buy anything else when I get those for $49 a crack. I cheaped out and got the Bullet, saved $10 this week.
Always. We'll be your escape. That's our commitment to you.
A committed, focused culture.
We are Fox Sports Radio.
We've got our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples, on the phone. We're talking about their huge selection and great pricing on Core-Tex flooring. Tim, tell us what's new at the store.
Right now we have 90 colors of Core-Tex in stock, ready to go, pick up, put down as soon as you want it. Everything from starting at $299 on up with lifetime warranty.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tex that you have. You also have other Core-Tex products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tex Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tex, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tex wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida? Nah, it's illegal here, man. But I have PTSD. Should I at least try to get medical marijuana?
That's legal. But if I were you, I'd talk to my doctor about qualifying conditions and to find out if medical marijuana is even right for you.
Thanks. I'll talk to my doctor.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
10 minutes before 8 o'clock. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Make sure you vote in our poll question. Best one we've ever had. It comes with pictures and everything. Mark Miller's got something growing on his face. It's either legendary or he's in need of an antibiotic. Somewhere in between. Who does he most resemble these days? Al Roboski, Goose Gossage, Conrad Dobler, James Edwards. Make sure you vote. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Conrad Dobler right now is barely beating Goose Gossage.
Dobler was my vote. That's what I think you look like.
It's hard to pin just one. I got to pin the one with the pictures to my profile page. It doesn't have all of them. It doesn't have the Dobler. He got his own photo. I only could get 4 on, and you had to see this awful thing on my face.
So there you have it. That's our poll question. Best one ever. Please vote. Without further ado, time now for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
I love where we're starting today, David, and I think you will too. 1939, because it was the first time that the King and Queen of England taste their first hot dogs at a party at FDR's place. I got $10 as the Queen went just mustard and the King put mustard and ketchup on it.
Speaking of which, the Duke of Edinburgh turned 99 yesterday.
1950, the 50th U.S. Open's men's golf tournament, Marion. 16 months after a severe injury in an auto accident. Ben Hogan wins in a playoff at what they called the Miracle at Marion.
Yes, with all due respect to Tiger and his comeback and all that, the fact that people were saying it was the greatest comeback in the history of the sport was laughable. Hogan nearly died in a car accident.
Hogan's might be one of the biggest comeback in the history of sports, not just golf. It would arguably, it's Gibson out of the tunnel. It's all of that. I know it was golf, but then goes into an 18-hole playoff and beats the 2 opponents in the playoff by 4 and by 6.
Yes. He actually has the best years of his career post the accident. Remarkable.
61, Norm Cash becomes the first Detroit Tiger to hit a ball out of Tiger Stadium.
Ooh.
Was at a game when Jason Thompson did it. But I was in the right field bleachers, and it just went over my head. I mean, I just, kind of watched it go, whoa, that's going a long way. 1962, JFK accepts an honorary degree from Yale. My only reason I put that in is for one question to you, David. Can you put an honorary degree on a resume?
No.
Really?
Yes.
You probably already have enough status when you're getting honorary degrees that you don't need a resume, though.
Well, considering he was the president of the United States, I don't think he needed to add it to his resume. All right, but I hear what
But I mean, like Clinton's got a bunch of them now. Does he need them?
Well, depends on the resume, I guess.
1966, I Am a Rock, number 3 by Simon & Garfunkel. Paint It Black by the Stones, number 1. Wouldn't it be great if those were if songs like that were 1 and 3 on the charts? 1967, A.J. Foyt and Dan Gurney drive a Ford to victory at Le Mans, David. Also in 67, the Cubs and the Mets tie a record 11 home runs in a game. The Cubs hit 7, the Mets hit 4. 1977, the number 1 song in the land, David, is I'm Your Boogeyman by Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Oh, what a glorious era of music the late 70s was.
That was number 1 as Seattle Slew wins the 109th Belmont today in 1977. 1982, E.T. debuts. Never saw it.
Me neither. How about that?
84, you may remember this. I know you remember this, David. You won't remember any of the names, but Michael Larson wins $110,237 on Press Your Luck because he memorized the patterns. And that was the end of Press Your Luck. Michael Chang in 89 gets his lone Grand Slam, winning the French, beating Stefan Edberg. 1990, Nolan Ryan throws a 6 no-no in the 9th against Oakland, retires Ken Phelps, Ricky Henderson, and Willie Randolph, all ex-Yankees. 1993, Jurassic Park was released, did an opening weekend record $502 million. 2002, American Idol premieres on Fox. Don't know whatever happened to that show. 2012, the Kings get their lone Stanley Cup, beating the Devils 4-2. Rafi wins the French in 2017, first man to win the French 10 times, and the Pens defeat the Predators for back-to-back championships in 2017. If you were born today, you share your birthday with Jacques Cousteau. Boy, did we watch a lot of his shows because there was nothing else on. Vince Lombardi, born today in Brooklyn in 1913. The late, great Gene Wilder was born today in 1933. Auto racer Jackie Stewart is 81 years old today. Henry Hill would have been 77 today. Also the day, according to Goodfellas, that they whack Billy Bats. June 11th, the scene when they go in and everything changes. Joe Montana, born today in 56. And Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones is 51 years old today. That is today was the day when, here on June the 11th.
Kings won 2 cups, though, because they beat the Devils and then they beat the Rangers. 2012, 2014. But, yep.
And
110,000 on Pressure Luck.
Right. You didn't win, but...
No, that's a lot of coin.
Right. I loved Pressure Luck. Big bucks, no whammies. Because then that game was going on long enough that when I started college, David, that was the game I would play by myself when on Thursday night I would go to the ATM, put my card in, and pray money would come out when I asked for $20.
That's basically what we all asked in college. You know, no whammies.
No whammies. Don't give me the insufficient funds.
Right.
Bring it.
$17.68. Yes. Yes, I can take a 10 and go to the bar.
Bill Bender coming up next. Miller and Moulton, Fox Sports Radio.
We know Southwest Florida's Gulf Shore strong, and as businesses continue to reopen and try to get back to normalcy, we want to hear from you. Call us at 479-5577, 479-5577. Tell us the name and location of your business, and let us know that you're back and rooting for Southwest Florida.
So, David, I had a texter that said, gave me, just like the media, to take one word and apply it out of context. It's not just about the flag, it's about the right of it, and then to bow down to a racist organization. And I said, Confederate flag supporters?
Wait a minute. What's the one word?
David, I don't know. Confederate? I'd have no clue. Flag? I'm not sure. But I just said Confederate flag supporters with a question mark, and he comes back with BLM. BLM's a racist organization, huh? Read up on it, what he tells me. I says, as long as you read up on the Confederate flag being racist. Then I asked him if he saw the Confederate flags at the KKK march that was in Rome, Georgia yesterday, while police were just laughing. Disgusting. Peaceful protest, all the cops got big smiles on their faces. KK, as they're chanting, KKK is here to stay. It's gross. Gross.
Be placing in your eyes. No one wants to think about that, so it might be a great time.
You know, so I saw somebody write something interesting yesterday in which they said, is it time, you know, there are those that want to label Antifa a terrorist organization, and somebody said, is it time to label the KKK?
How could you not? If you're going to label that as one, how can you not label this as one? Unless, of course, they're just very fine people.
On both sides.
Right.
Contact lenses. Call now, schedule your free consultation. Take advantage of $1,000 off bilateral LASIK special. Financing available.
Friends Eye Care. Hoops in the hallways, battling in the break room, and target practice in the urinals. WFSX AM from the Rock to downtown Fort Myers. We are Sports. Here's what's
all right.
trending now.
Look, if Casio was around in this chat room, Trenton, you'd be in great company. But binge watching classic Indy 500s doesn't do it for me. I don't know about David.
I'm okay with it. I am. I got to admit, I got a soft spot for old Indies.
Hello.
Bill, good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty well. Yourself?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. I appreciate it.
How are things in your neck of the woods?
Oh, we're trying, man. So, yeah, we're getting some things back though. We're doing all right.
Good.
We got youth baseball and dance class back, so at least our kids have that.
That's all that matters, right?
Oh, thank goodness.
Exactly.
Thank goodness. Get out of the house.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning. Yep, that's it.
Miller? Really upset that my daughter will not read one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish on Twitch because I needed content. That's what we've come to.
And Moulton.
Well, we need to explain to her the pilot program, and we need 25 hours of programming a week. So you need to deliver your 12 minutes a day, 5 times a week, because that's an hour, honey.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Oh, I like it. It's up to you now. It's up to you. I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
8 o'clock hour of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, the 11th of June. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming this and every show on the station at foxsportsfm.com. You know by now you can sign up and watch Miller and Moulton on our YouTube and Twitch TV channels. And you can always chime into the show on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line, which is 479-5551. 479-5551. It's a pleasure to welcome back Bill Bender of the Sporting News. You can follow Bill on Twitter at BillBender92. Bill, how are you and the family holding up these days?
Oh, we're getting through the quarantine like everybody else. It's good to be on with you guys, especially David. So good. I followed the tweets, and great to see that you're back at it, and we all stick together in this business. And but yeah, as far as sticking together, we're just getting through it one day at a time. And Ohio's opened up some things, and my son's playing youth baseball. My daughter's dancing again, and that's great.
Good.
It's those little things. I took my daughter to gymnastics on Tuesday for the first time, and it was like, wow, this is great. I can just kind of sit here for a second and just catch my breath and not be, what are we going to play this? We're going to do that. So I definitely empathize with where you're at, and it makes life a little easier once the kids get going. What are we hearing in Big Ten country, Bill? Michigan State's going to open the campus. Michigan didn't want to. Where are we with, first, I guess, how many campuses have said they're opening, how many haven't? And then secondly, lead us into football of what your thoughts are of these stadiums having fans at them.
Yeah, well, as far as getting on campus, I'm in Columbus, and Ohio State, their athletes got on campus this week. You saw the pictures of all of them walking into the facility. I think different places, different levels. And it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But, Michigan's been impacted a little bit more than Ohio by the virus. Think of a place like New Jersey and Rutgers and how many cases they've had. So I still think it's a case-by-case basis with each school.
Bill, is there any concern about Rutgers this year in the Big Ten? Or has, New Jersey has now flattened the curve and they are opening up as of yesterday. But, is there still concern about just Rutgers and whether or not they're going to be an active participant this year?
I would be concerned. I'm concerned for, certain places more than others. You just wonder if all 130 schools will be able to go. And I've had my doubts all along. I do think there's going to be a season. I do think they're going to be on time. I think it's a step-by-step process. I've been telling people this the whole time. We're having workouts and those kind of things, but, and as you guys know, if you have daughters and sons doing sports now, the social distancing part's really hard with kids, but how do you social distance a quarterback sack or a touchdown celebration or a fumble? There are a long way to go on that regard. And then you asked about fans. I think most stadiums are going to have to go half full if they can and figure out the regulations from there. But, it's really hard to legislate social distancing outside, let alone at a football stadium.
And in the parking lot and everywhere else. So I guess, we've always said all along, if kids are on campus, well, then we can have fans. If they're putting them in dorms, if they're putting them in the commissary, well, then they can go to the game, one would think. But that all is a wait and see mode. Is there anybody, since this is going to be a different year, as we get prepared for the football season, we'll do it differently than before. But is there anybody, we're always going to hear about Michigan. Is there anybody in Ohio State's area code at the beginning of the season?
In the Big Ten?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm just being honest. I think Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan all face the same problem. And, Michigan takes all the heat because, they haven't beat them. But, I tell people this all the time. Since Urban Meyer took over at Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan have combined for one win against the Buckeyes. And that was on that game. I don't know if you guys remember it. It was the year Penn State won the Big Ten championship, and they blocked a field goal. Yep. So I think Ohio State's basically a company-wide problem for the Big Ten. Nobody's beating them with the exception of a couple of fluky road losses. So, and Michigan bears the brunt of that because they're expected with Harbaugh to do that. But I wish I would have got you guys a couple hours later today because we are releasing our 1 to 130 coach rankings. And everybody always agrees with my order from 1 to 130. They have no problems with those.
Right. No issues whatsoever. Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92. Bill, what's gone on in Iowa here in the last week? Did it catch you by surprise, or was this always something that was, bubbling around the surface, but it never, if no one's willing to go on the record with you, it's tough to report on it, talk about it, write a column about it. Did it catch you by surprise, or did you just kind of have a wry smile and go, finally?
No, my friends and I always joke that when it's third down, we know Iowa's throwing to the tight end because they've been doing that for 40 years. And that may be a way of saying that their program hasn't changed for 40 years when society has. Society's changed a lot in the last 3 weeks or 3 months. And I think it's time for that program to evolve a little bit. Now, with the strength and conditioning coach getting suspended, that's a big deal. I've dealt with Kirk Ferentz a lot. I think he's a good coach. I think he does a good job of developing kids for the next level, but he is very old-fashioned. And that's a part of the country that's a little bit old-fashioned. But old-fashioned isn't always good in some ways. It is in some ways, it isn't in others. And I think the program needs to have a little bit of a cultural shift. That's evident. And it's on parents to make that happen.
Who else? I mean, I was texting with a couple of my friends who are big Iowa guys because we had a Iowa writer on, and I knew they'd want to listen. Say, hey, check out the podcast. Tell me what you think. And the one's, drinks the Kool-Aid, and he's a little bit angry, but gets it. And he just said back to me, he goes, do you think Iowa's alone on this? And I said, of course not. But who else in the Big Ten? Is there any rumblings that there's another program in the Big Ten that has a similar problem to what Iowa had?
I haven't heard anything, but I mean look, college football's a regional sport, and I mean, if you want me to just come out and say it, I mean, Iowa, Wisconsin, I mean, Minnesota, that's all, Nebraska, that's all regions of the country that are very, very white, right? I mean, that's not being racist by saying that. It's just there's different ways of looking at things, and I'm not saying all the people in those areas of the country are, racist. I'm just saying it's a different area of the country in terms of the population dynamic and things, and it changes the way those programs recruit. They probably have more white players than a lot of the other programs in the Big Ten do. But that's not a big deal. I think all of those programs do a good job. I think all of those programs in the Big Ten West, I mean, the knock they get in that part of the country is that they don't recruit enough 4- and 5-star players, right? I mean, what do we always say about Wisconsin in terms of winning the national championship? They're a couple players away. And I mean, part of that is it's hard to get recruits to go to that part of the country, and not just because, and that's not because of their race. It's just that's that part of the country that's a little bit different.
PJ Fleck actually doing a pretty good job at Minnesota these last 2 recruiting classes of getting some star recruits that Minnesota normally does not get their hands on.
I mean, think of what Bill said there, and just think of all of us listening. If you got a job offer today, but you had to move to Lincoln, Nebraska, how excited would you be? I mean, that's just factual. That's not saying that anybody's racist anywhere. It's saying, okay, you can go to Iowa City, you can go to Miami, or you can go to Lincoln, Nebraska. Where are you going to go? I mean, that's
right.
just...
Yeah, well, and I understand, guys. Like you mentioned Minnesota and PJ Fleck, that's the epicenter of the George Floyd protests now. I think what PJ Fleck's done well is he's embraced some of those problems that Minnesota had with their culture and turned them around. And that's something maybe Iowa can look at. They've done a good job of recruiting skill position talent, too. They had 2 really good receivers last year. They've got a great quarterback in Tanner Morgan. And I think PJ's going to keep winning. Again, there's that limit of how much, when you're Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, there's sometimes a limit on how much you can win. I think you guys have probably asked me this question a few times. When's Nebraska going to be back or to their 90s heyday? When they can bring in recruits. And it's not a race thing with that. It's just that part of the country. It's not the most exciting place in the country. I live in Ohio. Ohio's not the most exciting place in the country, but what Ohio State does well is they bring guys in and they get them ready to go in the NFL for 3 years.
He's Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92. Reggie Bush and everything that goes along with that. Bill, what's your thought on what the NCAA should do in cases where, okay, you got a team and stuff happened and then we find out about it a few years later and we end up trying to retroactively punish and then also punish going forward. And there seems to be a consensus forming that the whole retroactive punishment is stupid. All right. What should the NCAA do going forward? Should they continue to take trophies away? Should they take banners down? Should they take championships away? What do you think they should do?
I think they have to, unfortunately. And we all know that happened. And I think the first thing they should do with Reggie Bush, just give him the Heisman back. It just always looks awkward that you take away that award from somebody that they earned on the field. We all remember Reggie Bush on the field. I was thinking about that. I almost forgot about how exciting he was on the field. I spent a couple minutes watching some highlight tapes. That Fresno State game is still amazing.
Unbelievable.
The way he played. Yeah. That was on real late, too. You had to stay up late to watch that one. But he's one of the best all-purpose players to play the game. And I think they should give him the Heisman Trophy. But, I mean, we always talk about, I guess it's a double-edged question, right? Because we always talk about the NCAA being toothless. They have to find ways to punish programs. I think money is the best way to do it, money and scholarships. But we all remember who won those titles and those banners and those kind of things.
And that's where I am. I'd hit him with the scholarships if you want to do it going forward, but to take away titles has never made sense to me. I understand your point, and you have to, I guess, punish something. And the NCAA, as we've pointed out on the show for a long time, is largely toothless when it comes to football. They don't have anything to do with Division I football other than that they can punish Division I football programs. So it does put the NCAA in a tough spot when it comes to policing a sport that they technically don't have a whole hell of a lot to do with, Bill.
Right, I totally agree. And again, you see some of the things going on in college football, and I think likeness will help because it'll, as my good friend Mike DeCourcy, who works for us, I think the intent of this is to put some of that money from under the table on the table, and that's a good thing. That some of these athletes are going to be able to profit off that. I think with the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic, sorry, I got that wrong. Athletes should have more power. You're seeing more of them speak out. You saw that at Florida State last week. They're holding coaches more accountable for being, not to lie, even if it's a little white lie in front of a reporter. I like that because how many press conferences and interviews have you guys done where you get off the phone and you're like, well, that coach was lying to me, and you don't feel good. So maybe this will help on some of those things. I at least I feel that way.
I'm with you, Bill. I'm a big proponent of the truth. And and I feel that as a whole, I don't know if there's a group that lies more than college football coaches. I'm just being honest. I don't know if there's a group in all of sports that tries to control the message and goes out of their way to pump propaganda more than we see in college football. You mentioned the pandemic. Do you think that athletic departments are going to change the way they do business going forward? Do you think this is going to put an end to the arms race? Because we're seeing the problems with like some MAC schools and in the Group of Five conferences. But do you think that Power Five schools are having to hit the brakes because of this?
Well, some of it's heartbreaking. You know, I live right there in MAC country, right? So, I mean, I'm watching Akron and BG lose programs, and then you see it down south with East Carolina Furman baseball. And I think the first thing that will happen, you may see some salary reductions for coaches, and that might not be the worst thing.
No.
Because then you can reallocate some of that money in there. I mean, I'm never going to tell somebody that don't be good at your job, but I mean, the escalating salaries have shown where the priorities are. So maybe some of that money can go in different directions, and I think it'll have to. You know, we all know that we need this football season, not just for those athletic departments. Our business needs that football season. You know,
darn right.
You're seeing, you know, layoffs and all those kind of things across the journalism business, and so yeah, we all want it to happen. I love when you get on Twitter and people say you don't want football to happen. There's nobody that wants football to happen more than sports journalists, radio, print, internet, whatever.
No doubt there, Bill. No doubt. I mean, the Athletic laid people off, and they've been the only ones hiring for the last 2 years. So absolutely no doubt. Bill, as always, thank you for your time. We always appreciate it. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
And Bill, thanks for the kind wishes. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, that's great. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you guys soon. And hopefully, guys, next time we'll be talking about some actual games.
We will.
Love it.
Promise. We
Thanks,
won't
Bill.
call you until then. How about that?
No problem. Thank you. Call me anytime.
Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Follow Bill on Twitter, Bill Bender92, Bill Bender92. And he mentioned a couple hours from now he's going to release his coaching rankings from 1 to 130. And as he said, tongue firmly planted in cheek, there's never any disagreement with his rankings.
No, and I will say my only discrepancy with you is I would like to not call him back until there's games to talk about. But if it goes too long, I may need an update on his kids' baseball team.
We need sports that much.
Well, I mean, if you recall, Bill was ejected from his son's basketball game.
That's true.
And told a great story of the lessons he learned from it. It was terrific. He wrote an article. He ripped himself apart in the article. It was about a year ago. Bill's been coming on the show for a while. I really like Bill as a guest. Has a lot of great information. And when he attacked himself for being thrown out of his kid's basketball game, well, he raised himself to a new level, at least in my eyes.
And you listen to Bill and you think, how in the world could he ever get that aggravated? But Bill does do this thing in the Sporting News called the Angry Bender.
Right.
So Bill is a good follow at Bill Bender92. Bill Bender, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Bob Pockrass will join us coming up in about 10 minutes' time. Big day in NASCAR yesterday. They not only raced in Martinsville, but they banned the Confederate flag from all of their future races. And that drew some wide eyes and some raised eyebrows and some people surprised about that. And I know I was, Mark, because when Bubba Wallace earlier this week, when he called on NASCAR to do away with the Confederate flag, I thought to myself, good for you. Good for you for asking. They're not going to do it, but good for you for asking. So, and for those of you, does that bother you? Did it cause you not to watch last night? Are you done with NASCAR because they got rid of the Confederate flag? 479-5551. Sorry, Mark, 479-5551.
I think I've had one texter today that I have been debating about a few things that appears to be done with NASCAR because of it. I don't really think I can get into reading many of the texts that he sent because I think they're a touch insensitive. But I have been going back and forth with him on a couple of subjects for the last half hour. I will ask if he's done with NASCAR.
And we wondered earlier in the show, is this a deal breaker for you if you were a NASCAR fan? Like I saw one guy post a 2-minute diatribe on Twitter last night in which he was done. He lumped NASCAR in with the NFL and the kneeling, and then he's, losing his love for sports. Well, okay. I mean, we disagree, but, to each their own. But when you're NASCAR and you were considering this, I'm curious as to whether or not you had any research or what the gut feeling in the room was as to how much is this going to hurt us versus how much is this going to help us. Like, you also saw a few things last night in which you saw some black members of the media, just some black sports fans who admitted that the news actually lured them into the NASCAR race last night. They watched because of it, and they were pleasantly surprised at the product and what it is that they saw. And so, I'm
trying to think. There was one football player that I was looking at his tweets this morning. I was cracking up. I got 2 TVs on. Is this how I'm supposed to do this? Because I keep watching at who's in the order, and I can't watch the race. And it was hysterical because he was literally texting things, and then going, "Am I doing this right?" But I'm riveted. I love this. But am I watching this the right way? I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Never mind the fact you got to explain stages to them. For goodness sakes. It's like quarters. Think of it like hockey. It's like periods in hockey. Miller and Moulton. Bob Pockrass will join us from Fox coming up in a few moments to talk about the comings and goings and the doings in the NASCAR world. Our poll question, best one ever. I'm sorry. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Mark has something between a legendary stash and something that's in dire need of an antibiotic. Okay. In between there is what it is that's on Mark's face right now.
All right. If I had this and it was 1976.
Oh my goodness.
You wouldn't say that.
No.
I could star in a cop drama. There's not much of a doubt right now that I could have a show on 10 p.m. CBS.
See, I don't think you could star in it with the way that you look, but I think you would have been a hell of a character actor in all of those shows. Yes. I think
so. If it was like Chico and the Man, I would have been the Man.
Yeah, you could have been a guy at the garage one episode, and then, you could have been the guy behind the counter.
Wait a minute, I'm not even a sidekick? I'm just a bit player?
No, I think you're just a character actor. That's all.
What am I, Ned Beatty, for crying out loud?
Let me tell you, I saw him on a Law and Order just yesterday. That's so funny you say that. Miller and Moulton. But Mark's stash, who does he most look like? And there's pictures with this poll question and everything. Conrad Dobler, James Edwards, Rich Goose Gossage,
and Al Rabowski,
the Mad Hungarian. Who does Mark most look like today? That's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Bob Pockrass on the other side. The good, the bad, and the uglies about 25 minutes away. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday, the 11th of June. We're Miller and Moulton, and this is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Receiving over.
Alexa, play Fox
Did you
Sports FM on
text Pockrass?
LeBron has shown his greatness.
I didn't know I was
Kevin
supposed
Durant's
to, David.
a better player.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Smart speaker.
Are we cheering for idiots? What's going on?
Sounds more like a dumb speaker, am I right?
You're an idiot. Nice job.
Get Southwest Florida sports talk delivered to your speaker.
This is easy.
Just say, Alexa,
hello.
Play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
Finally, something worthwhile.
I didn't think it was going to be this easy.
We are Fox Sports.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Below invoice employee pricing is back at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Lowest prices ever on over 1,500 new and certified pre-owned vehicles. Loaded luxurious Grand Cherokee Limited lease, $289 per month. That's right, Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited, $289 per month. 7-passenger Dodge Journey SUV, just $19,990. Plus at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, you can drive payment-free for 3 months or interest-free for 6 years and worry-free up to 100,000 miles. And our parts service and body shop are open to serve you. Below invoice employee pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 42 month lease, 10,000 miles per year, $19.99 to its signing, plus tax, tag title, dealer and acquisition fee, 0 security deposit, $13.88 per month per thousand borrowed for 72 months.
So, Racer, you're telling us you're done with NASCAR because you can't fly a Confederate flag?
Boat Club, the only family-owned and operated boat club in Southwest Florida.
And to the person who says the Dukes of Hazzard thing, I actually get you, because that's probably the thing I associated with first in life, too. Totally. And I thought that General Lee was a cool car. But then you grow up and realize, holy crap.
Or just cruising, Baywater has you covered. And folks, the water is great. It's the best water we've had in Southwest Florida in a couple decades. Want to keep the boat overnight? At Baywater, anything is possible. And this weekend, we're holding an open
I didn't even see it, David. With everything going on, I'm not.
That's all right. I'm texting him now.
Water difference. Call me, Adam Botana, at 239-495-0455. That's 495.
So one player and 3 caddies on the Corn Ferry Tour tested positive.
Or find us online at BW Boat Club or just Google
everybody
Baywater exclusive
tested fine on the PGA Tour, they said yesterday. So 2 players, 1 caddy, did you say?
I'd like to tell you that I'm the best AC mechanic
Mark,
in my company.
what's that?
But I'd be
Did you
lying
say
to
2
you.
players, 1 caddy?
1 player, 3 caddies on the Corn
So
Ferry
I don't
Tour.
hurt myself. You see, I'm the old guy, and I've been doing this work since I was a kid with my dad. Our younger staff are really the best mechanics in this business, and they've been through years of training and years of testing, with continuing education to keep up to date on the latest and greatest things in the air conditioning world. All companies brag about their
How far we got, Jiro? How long, rather?
But we're most proud of our team being on the cutting edge and the leaders in technology and application
minute
of
and a
the
half.
modern air
Okay.
conditioning
Minute and a half.
equipment.
Thank
That's
you.
why we've been voted best air conditioning company in Southwest Florida year after year in the News Press polls. It's not me. It's the best team of NATE-certified mechanics ever assembled. Call 239-482-1542 and experience the best. License CACO 57313.
Do you like me? Like Miller and Moulton on Facebook. Just search Miller and Moulton. Would you like that?
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years. We operate with integrity, knowledge, and service. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
This Bob, can I help you?
Good morning, Mark Miller and David Moulton in Southwest Florida. How are you doing this morning?
Doing good, Mark. How are you?
We're great, Bob. Thanks for your time. Going on here in about 30 seconds.
Okay, great.
Been a hell of a busy day for you. But busy 48 hours, Bob.
It's been a busy
3 weeks.
It's
Yeah.
been a busy couple weeks
20
for
grams
sure.
or less is a misdemeanor, and more than 20 grams is a felony.
Well, I have epilepsy. Should I try to get a medical marijuana prescription?
Now that's legal, but talk to your doctor first to see if it's a qualifying condition and if medical marijuana is even right for you.
I will, thanks.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
29 minutes past the hours. We begin to turn for home. Miller and Moulton, thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We stream the show at foxsportsfm.com, and we also broadcast this show live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly coming up in roughly 20 minutes' time. He was kind enough to join us right as NASCAR was beginning their rebirth, if you will, this season with 7 races in 11 days. He's Bob Pockrass of Fox Sports. Follow Bob on Twitter at Bob Pockrass. Bob, before we get into the events of yesterday, it's been about 3 or so weeks now. How does NASCAR feel that this clump of races has gone over?
I mean, I think they're pretty happy with it. Obviously, there's a lot of interest in the sport. They've had some good races. They had some drama, right? Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano. You had Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch kind of again. So NASCAR has been happy that they've been able to put a product on the racetrack, and they're also looking forward to saying, hey, they're going to have 1,000 fans at Homestead, or they're going to invite 1,000 military personnel and their guests, and then they're going to have 5,000 next week at Talladega.
Well, Talladega is going to be its own. I mean, if it's 5,000 people and it's the first 5,000, let me just ask you that, Bob. They're saying 5,000 people that had tickets for the original race, of which there's, what, over 100,000 tickets? How many people are going to show up to get in line? I mean, this sounds like this could be a nightmare, Bob.
Yeah, well, I mean, the place seats 78,000, but they are limiting it to people who live within 150 miles. And they're doing it on first come, first serve, and they know from their records of who bought tickets, of who had tickets before, and we'll see. I mean, I don't think everybody who had tickets is going to want to go, because there are social distancing and measures in place. There's no tailgating. There's no, there's no like driver meet and greets. There is, you can't bring in a cooler. You can bring in a bag that has some food and beverages, but you can't have like ice packs and coolers, because NASCAR, when they want to do inspections of bags and stuff, they don't want their inspectors to have to put their hands like in water in one person's bag and then in another person's bag. They don't feel that's sanitary enough, and they're going to ask people to wear masks. And you're talking about the middle of June in Alabama. I mean, that does not seem to be the most comfortable thing to do. So I don't think that they're going to have 70,000 people trying to get tickets, but I'm sure they'll sell their 5,000.
He's Bob Pockras of Fox. Follow Bob on Twitter at Bob Pockras. Also, the events of yesterday. One, were you surprised? I was, when I saw Bubba earlier in the week and others call for getting rid of the Confederate flag. I didn't think it would happen. Did it catch you by surprise?
It didn't catch me by surprise, only because Sunday is what caught me by surprise. When you have a moment of silence, you have 20 drivers posting a video about, saying that they will advocate for change when it comes to racial inequality. You have the president of the sport saying the same. And once they said that, they got to act, right? You can't just say it. And as long as the Confederate flag was being flown by fans at races, people would look at those words as hollow, right? How can you say that you are against racism and yet you're allowing this symbol that to many represents that be flown at your racetrack? So once they said that, I knew that the Confederate flag ban would have to come. I didn't know that it would come in 4 days. I didn't know that Bubba Wallace would be the guy 2 days or the day after that say, hey, it needs to be banned, because he hasn't said that in the past. But it's one of those things that, again, if you asked me a week ago, I would have been surprised. If you asked me, after Sunday, I thought it was something NASCAR was going to have to do.
I know this is a little trivial, Bob, but one, how will they stop it when they start bringing fans back? And two, is it just flying the flag? If I have my Rebel hat, if I have my Rebel shirt, I mean, a million different ways that people are going to try to do this.
Right? Are you going to throw you out? They haven't said. I assume that they'll have people going around and they'll ask people. Typically, they'll probably ask people politely to remove the flag. I think if they can, like if somebody's wearing a shirt, I don't know what they would do, whether they would trade it, have shirts for these for people to wear, or what they would do. It's all it's all to be announced. And it's one of the things that maybe one of the reasons why NASCAR announced it now, and that they have, there's no real camping yet at racetracks. There won't be for at least a month. They have a month to set these policies. And they also have a the last time they talked about this 4 or 5 years ago, one of the things they said is, well, we already sold tickets and it wasn't under our policies when people bought tickets. And so I think now they can say, well, people knew this policy when they came, and it's just like anything else. We search people's cars when they come to the track, especially those who are going into the infield, and we can confiscate things that we feel are improper and give them back to the people when they leave.
Bob, do you think NASCAR doesn't care anymore about what the blowback is going to be? There's already a guy, Mark, was it a Truck Series owner?
Yes.
Who said, I'm done at the end of this year, no more money into the sport. Obviously there could be some fans that decide that's it, I'm done. Do you think NASCAR has gotten to the point in which they just don't care whatever the blowback is?
I think they care. If they didn't care, they would have set this policy years ago. But I think they feel that, this could be a cynical view, but the question is, are the financial repercussions of those who don't follow going to be more than the financial rewards of the people who do,
right,
or who will? You've got to. Look, it's no secret that NASCAR admission revenue for the racetracks has gone down every year for 10 years. So, what should they be afraid
of? It's a great question.
Look, I won't say they're not concerned. I think they care about their fans. They don't want to lose fans. Nobody wants to lose fans, but they also, I think the question is, how many fans have they lost along the way without the ban?
Well, and let's just take that to last night, Bob. I'm watching people on Twitter. I'm watching pro football players tweeting about the race like they've been watching racing for 10 years, and they've been watching for 10 minutes. So was it a one-off because it was right after this in Martinsville? A lot of it. Wednesday night on TV, I get it. But it's a terrible comparison. But I worked in hockey for a long time, and I remember when Fox Sports put the blue puck on, and all the hockey fans hated it. And a buddy of mine that played for the team I worked for said, if one more fan watches because of that, it won. Because none of us are turning it off. And to me, if doing this turns a whole new group of people on to watch, I thought last night was a big win for NASCAR. Did you?
Absolutely. Who is, I guess, you'll see in the numbers, but what, when Bernice King, the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr. tweets about NASCAR and says NASCAR family, that's going to increase your audience. And, and I think it's very difficult for many of us to comprehend why somebody would not be a fan because they can't fly the flag at the race. How does that change your enjoyment of the race weekend? It may, you may, what does it, yes, maybe you feel like you have the right to do it. You feel like you should be able to do it, but seriously, how much will that truly impact your enjoyment of watching a race?
Well, and we've been asking that question throughout the show. 479-5551 is how you can chime in via the text line and let us know. Bob, last night was another Wednesday night race. We love it. Absolutely love it. Now, I understand they haven't had to sell a ticket for a Wednesday night race yet. And if they continue to do this going forward, at some point, they'll have to see whether or not people are going to disrupt their lives and actually go to these races. But specifically about the midweek cup races, do you think, Bob, this is now here to stay?
I think so. I think it was a direction NASCAR wanted to go. This shows that the teams can do it. And, look, it should have happened years ago.
Yes,
and it was just a matter of a battle between racetracks owners saying, hey, we rely on camping revenue. We rely on weekend ticket revenue. and we can't have just a one-night event. Our people come from too far away. And NASCAR, instead of saying, okay, well, if you don't reach certain markers, we'll refund some sanction fee, or NASCAR refused to put the money where their will was in trying to get these Wednesday night races. And I think now, again, as we talk about the number of fans that are coming to races to begin with, the percent that you potentially would lose for a midweek race is less. It's worth this. Okay, let's try these Wednesday night events and see if people will, one, come, and two, if they don't come, will we still get more viewers on television? And will the television companies, eventually, when the new deals come around, pay more to have weeknight races, which then can be put back into the industry?
Bob, final question. When do you think is the first race in which NASCAR says to a track, sell as many damn tickets as you can? I'm thinking it's the Brickyard.
Well, no, the Brickyard in July. They've said that they can't have fans. They were hoping to, but Indianapolis is just a little bit behind the rest of the state as far as the parameters. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Daytona in August that potentially could have a full crowd, but that's probably still, I think, optimistic. I think you're going to be talking about anywhere from 25 to 50% in the stands for 4 months. But if you asked me to say which one could be possible, I would potentially say Daytona in August.
Bob, as always, we appreciate your time and your insight. Try to get some rest. My goodness, they're working you to death after sitting on your keister for 2 months. Now you're working every hour.
Yeah, it's been busy, but it's been interesting to see how the teams in the industry have handled it all. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Bob. Bob Pockras of Fox Sports. He covers NASCAR. You can follow Bob on Twitter at Bob Pockras, Pockras. Bob Pockras, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
It is, I'm fascinated because the point Bob makes is a great one. This is going to piss off fans. Will it piss them off to the point where they don't go? We've had one on Twitter. One in the Williamson Brothers Marine talk and text line that's done. One in our Twitch chat room that says they're done.
Okay.
It's
there
two.
You go.
I mean, no, but we've got a lot of NASCAR fans. We've had two today that have said they're done. I guess the next question would be, how many of you out there have been like me, because nothing else is on, you've watched a little NASCAR and you're going, maybe this is a little better than I thought. Because if there's three of us, if there's me and two others that say, I didn't watch NASCAR, I'm kind of paying attention, it's not half bad, then NASCAR's winning.
Well, and what I wonder going forward, let's face it, I think people are going to watch certain sports in the spring and summer of 2020 that they otherwise wouldn't have watched because we're bored. And come the future, we're not necessarily going to come running back to these sports. However, Daytona 500, maybe the Brickyard, and also these midweek races. I do think, Mark, there's a chance. Like for you, I expect next year you're not going to be watching NASCAR on a weekly basis like you are right now. But I do think there's a chance in which you go, ooh, Wednesday night race. And like those 6 or 8 races, you watch Daytona and those 6 to 8 races, and maybe you'll stumble upon a couple on Sunday. And then if that's the case, NASCAR's got you for a third of their season, when before the pandemic, they got you for bupkis.
Right. Maybe for the start of Daytona, if you know what I mean.
Right.
No, and hey, look at the other part of it is with this, and I started the show saying hockey missed the boat. NASCAR, at least, we watched Darlington. I've never watched a race at Darlington, and you know what? It was a pretty good race. Now that I know this is a unique track, it's a little different. Martinsville. Little unique. There's something to it. And now all of a sudden the guy goes, well, wait a minute. This isn't Homestead, which is a little on the boring side. There's a little more racing. You learn a little bit. So I think that's a positive for the sport. I don't know how it could be viewed as a negative.
Homestead is where they'll be this weekend, and then they go to Talladega the following weekend. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. as we wrap up this Thursday, the 11th of June edition. Thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan
I didn't realize that 2 days ago everything at Liberty blew up.
Oh, I didn't either.
I got up this morning. I went on Twitter, and the first thing I saw was a tweet from Asia Todd. I don't know how good she is, David. She's a women's basketball player at Liberty. Do you remember her being any good?
Oh,
okay. She's in the portal. She issued a minute 15 video as to the racial injustice at that school, praised her coaches, her teammates, and the lifelong friends she made, but said, I cannot stay at this school anymore. Their leader of diversity quit because apparently some tweets from one of the Farwells were exposed with some blackface and some KKK support, apparently. And I mean, they're running out of there right now.
Well, that's the second prominent player from Liberty because their best player transferred to Tennessee.
Well, I just noticed that she's followed by one person I know. It happens to be Carl Semesco.
You got a great roofing company.
Oh, that's true. If she wants to transfer, FGCU still got a couple scholarships available.
And how are you going to tell a Liberty student they're not immediately eligible with this stuff going on?
Well, it's how Justin Fields got eligible.
Thank you.
At Ohio State. He said that we got a racially hostile environment on campus. I'm out of here. The NCAA went,
right.
Okay.
People often ask me,
that's my point. Right.
So big and so fast. But the answer is we didn't. What we did is we took our family business, we hired great talent, trained our staff,
Glenn
and developed our product. Now, after 7
tweeted us. I am a longtime fan from Eastern North Carolina. And David, let me explain something to you about Eastern North Carolina.
Shower door company that you can trust and
Right.
research. And
No, I got it.
Go to my
I got it.
Jake's roommates.
Southwest Florida.
I've been to Boys Creek.
Yeah, but you didn't stay very long.
No, I was there a day and a half.
Nissan will give you $8,000 over Kelly Blue Book value for your trade-in.
That he's saying he's in. Jake's roommate's from Eastern North Carolina, and I talked to him, and he's like, Dad, you can be in Eastern North Carolina, and not see a black man for 3 or 4 months. Because you're up in the hills. It's a different part of the world. It's,
It's hold my beer. It's hold my beer,
oh,
redneck, is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what did he say?
Oh, he just said it's pretty. He just said he's completely supports Bubba Watson and NASCAR's decision. Completely. That is Bubba Wallace. Sorry, I like Bubba Wallace and I hate Bubba Watson, and I just keep saying his name.
I know you do. That's why I don't want you to get him confused.
Listen to Miller and Moulton at home on your Amazon Alexa. Just say, Alexa.
Receiving. Over.
Play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn. We are Fox Sports.
That's why I thought it was important for Bubba to run well last night. Also,
Dan Martineau here.
Finished
owner
11th.
of DR Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. We're still finding a lot of roofs with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for a free inspection. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is DR Martineau.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Where I'm from, marijuana is legal. Can I use it in Florida?
Nah, it's illegal here, man.
But I have PTSD. Should I at least try to get medical marijuana?
That's legal. But if I were you, I'd talk to my doctor about qualifying conditions and to find out if medical marijuana is even right for you.
Thanks. I'll talk to my doctor.
From the best headlines.
The best.
To the worst.
It's the worst thing that ever happened to anybody ever.
Prepare yourself and hide the women and children. This is Mark Miller's Good, Bad, and Ugly on Fox Sports Radio.
You're live.
For the good today, we go to North Carolina via Florida, where Mark Hottie had some good instincts. On vacation, bought a $30 scratcher. He said, I hesitated to buy it. I was getting ready to walk away. But for some reason, I thought, you know what? I'm here on vacation. I'll take it.
There you go.
He initially thought he only won $100, but his sister pointed out that he needed to keep scratching, and the 3 other zeros were revealed.
Whoa!
He'll head back home from vacation with about $70,000 after state and federal taxes. Good for you.
There you go. It's kind of like, vacation calories.
They don't count?
No. And so it's the same where, if you do a little gambling, some of the stuff that you wouldn't normally do back home. I mean, it just, there's no harm in it. Honestly, only good things can happen. That's my story.
We go to West Virginia for the bad, where 2 men believe they were switched at birth 80 years ago.
Damn.
And they're suing a Roman Catholic diocese in West Virginia, alleging negligence and breach of duty by the hospital where they were born. John William Carr III and Jackie Lee Spencer were born August 29, 1942. The lawsuit says that staffers at the diocese-run hospital sent them home with the wrong families. The switch was discovered last year when DNA tests showed Carr and Spencer had no genetic matches with the families that raised them, but did match the other's family. Both men and families have suffered a lifetime of consequence, according to the lawsuit. Spencer said he never got to know his other family members and said Carr said he looks always different and he felt out of place. They have not specified what damages they're looking for. Finally, the ugly. We go to the dry cleaners.
Just hold on. So switched at birth, okay, and living your whole life with the wrong family, that's not the ugly.
No.
Okay.
They're 80. How bad was their life? They're both 80 years old. No, I'm sorry here. It's a tragic story for the parents, but the parents are dead. The parents died never knowing. How is this that ugly? Everybody lived. They lived to be 80.
Yeah, they're 78 right now in August, right? Okay.
The ugly, we go to the dry cleaners, where 15 years ago, Roy Peterson's dry cleaners goofed up and lost a pair of his pants. So this jackass and his attorney sued him for $54 million.
What?
At the time, he claimed the pants were worth over $1,000, and the rest was for emotional distress. Over time, his demands ballooned as high as $67 million. 4 years of prodding through court systems, he ultimately lost his case, but that wasn't the end of it for him. It seems the Board on Professional Responsibility did not take kindly to his ridiculous demands, including at one point a request for judgment obligating the defendants to provide him with ongoing services and to pay him $10,000 immediately based on nothing more than his own request. So they issued a 90-day suspension of him to practice law. I'm sorry, he is an attorney, so he did this. So now, 11 years later, the Court of Appeals has upheld it, finding that Pearson was guilty of misconduct and has been suspended. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, June 11th of 2020.
Here's my question. How does a pair of pants gain $13 million in value? A pair of pants. Are these Liberace's pants and they're diamond studded? Were these Elvis's pants? I mean, these are quite a pair of khakis we got here. I mean, damn. This guy should be disbarred. Forget just suspended for 90 days. Give me a break. Talk about a nuisance suit. I mean, give lawyers and lawsuits a bad name with something like that. Come on. Get a grip. It's a pair of pants. Blank happens.
I'm with you, David. The problem is that I didn't divert from these stories, and a lot of these are so and not that Gio did a bad job, he did a great job. But some of the things that are going on right now, I won't read on the air. Like when they're about some of the things that are going on in our world, they're not funny ugly, they're just ugly.
Right.
You know, and I'm not here to read ugly. I'm here to read funny ugly. So that's what I had in front of me. I lazily didn't get enough work done today because I've been trying to put pictures of mustaches up on Twitter for most of the morning.
It is the greatest poll question we've ever had. I am staking my reputation on it. Mark Miller has something between a fungus and the greatest mustache of all time growing on his face. Now, if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch TV, he's giving us profile shots. They're hideous, by the way.
Oh, I know.
I'm with your wife, all right?
I'm with my wife.
I don't think she'd walk down the street with you.
I wouldn't walk down the street with me.
And you two actually have a social life and you have friends, and tomorrow's a Friday, which means there's a good chance that there's something social on your agenda. She may give you an ultimatum in the next 24 or so hours.
Nope.
Really?
It's staying.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to get my ball mitt and my glove, and I'm going to practice. I may have my daughter video me doing an Al Hrabowski today.
Now, see, I was just going to say the other way. Get your 6-year-old to do an Al Hrabowski, okay, and have her impress Mom with it when Mom gets home from work.
Mom has no idea who Al Hrabowski is, though.
I know that. And you could say, I know this looks like a temper tantrum, but it's actually a hell of an impression.
I mean, I did have her wear the hockey gloves, throw them down, and say, you want to go already.
See,
I mean,
there you
I
go.
do have liberties in this house to have a lot of fun during the day.
Now, that's fantastic. All right. You've already taught her how to fight in hockey. Now teach her how to do the Mad Hungarian. All
You know
right?
what? You're on to something, because we were playing with the football where I just throw it in the pool and yell ball, and wherever she is, she has to run and dive on it.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's the fumble drill.
Right.
I mean,
now we're moving. Now we're moving to pitching. I like this.
Right. You're making her well-rounded. I mean, Mark, you talked earlier about putting things on your resume. You're trying to get nominated for a Golden Apple. I think you need some extracurricular. This could help. This could help. Standard books and classes. I mean, everybody does that.
Oh, we're doing that. That's a can of corn.
Right. What else are you providing? I mean, if you could teach her how to hockey fight and teach her a Mad Hungarian, that could impress the school board.
Right.
I'm just saying. But that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, millerandmoulton.com. It is a picture of Mark and whatever it is that is growing on his face. And who does he most resemble? Al Hrabowski, Rich Goose Gossage, Conrad Dobler, which is my vote, or Mark's personal favorite, James Edwards from the Bad Boys.
Right now, Goose with a big lead early.
Damn.
Big lead early. Dobler second, Hrabowski third, and Buddha Edwards bringing up the rear.
So it's our best poll question ever. I mean, it is. We probably should have done it tomorrow so it could have stayed up all weekend long.
And who knows if the mustache will stay up all weekend long. That will be a decision purely based on how my wife treats me Saturday night.
Right. And when she avoids you like the plague.
On what has been dubbed by David Moulton as
Make It Happen Night.
Yeah. That'll get a razor out.
Razor out.
That'll get a razor out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So good show today. Good show. Bob Pockras, Bill Bender, Antoine Staley, and you. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton. The Dan Patrick Show is next on Fox Sports Radio.
Did you see what Echo Hyde wrote at the end? I've got a recipe for veggie fries that uses champagne that tastes great. Should I send him to the text line? If Moulton would have saw that, he'd have thrown something at the camera finishing the show. Thanks, everybody.
As the oldest family in this business in the area.
I'll let David respond here before. Giro, great job as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Giro. Yeah.